intend to offend, we will offend. And if you have a delicate sensibility, click the X button in the corner, or if you're on a Mac, the red button in the left corner. Monty, welcome to the show of offending people.
Well, it never happened and I make shit up. For the last couple of weeks, everyone that has asked for a reading, apparently you're all from Scotland, from Hurley in Scotland. You all live the same lives. It's very metaphysical, because we're all one. And I can't read the Akashic Records. I didn't even have a card.
Meow. Welcome to another adventure into comedies. I am joined once again by the mysterious comedical co-host Montosaurus Rex, who shall be in just a moment. He is having an internet problem where he needed to go kick his router in the can. There, Montosaurus Rex, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Once I figured out what was going on, I prayed to the internet gods, the goddess Connectivity and her twin sons, Downloadius and Updateus, and here I am. So I spoke nicely to it.
Lord Downloadius has granted you internet permissions?
Yeah, mainly because I shook my fist at it. So yeah, I guess my modem freaked out, and you know when you turn a modem on and off, it's like, wait, something happened. I need to do something. And
we are also joined again by the fabulous, the intrepid Bruce MacDonald. And Bruce
Eventually.
has to unmute.
Hola, amigos. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Todo bien?
¿Qué?
Everything okay?
Everything's wonderful. How's it going with you, Bruce?
Yeah, it's another great day in paradise. A little bit of rain now.
So we played a little funny song before the intro. It was called Dirty Deeds Done with Sheep. It's a spoof song of AC/DC.
Yeah.
Now, years ago, when that first song came out, it must have been, the 1980s? That
70s.
Song came? 70s?
Yeah.
Then I must have been 6 years old, so like early 80s when I heard Dirty Deeds Done with Sheep. The replay of it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, Weird Al, I think, started 80 or 83's first album came out. So once Weird Al came out with his parodies, the whole genre would have exploded. Because Bon Scott died in 1980.
Well, I'm trying to think when did Michael Jackson's Beat It come out? Because at that point,
84, 85.
No, not that late. About 82.
Because I was at my parents' restaurant, and I was born in 74, so I was 6. If it was 82, I was 8. I'd already been working there full time, as a little kid, and we had jukebox, and Michael Jackson's Beat It, and then Weird Al's Eat It was actually on the jukebox.
Yeah, well, that's how popular Weird Al was. But 82 from Beat It was on Thriller, so that's what was throwing me. It was not. Thriller came out in 1982, and that was one of the greatest selling records. That's when they used to sell records. Remember that?
Yeah, those things that spun around at a certain speed. Yeah. That you could flip over and play backwards, and there were devil's music.
Oh, Bill Hicks has got a great routine. It's like, listen, if you play it backwards, you can hear Satan. It's like, no, you're destroying my stereo. I think you are Satan. And it's made a comeback as well, where it's that basic thing about humanity is we need options. Like photography's coming back. People still want to use film photography. It's not the same level as before the digital stuff kicked in, because it's just a different medium where because it's a chemical wash, it's so much more refined than the digital, which is all staircases. And the trick is to take the photo on film and then put it in digital. And you can use both or each other, but the big tech companies, no, you have to use this one. Like I've got an iMac, and I had to buy an external CD drive because you can't. There's no way of putting a disc into this machine.
I remember. Go
what
ahead,
year?
Bruce.
What year?
Well, the iMac hasn't had a disk drive for 8 years or
Oh
even
yeah,
more.
yeah. That's why I asked. I had a beautiful 2009 iMac, and they had that you popped them in the side.
Yeah, just slide them in.
Yeah.
I remember when my oldest brother Nick had joined the Navy in 84, 85. Actually, no, it must have been 83. Maybe 84. I don't remember exactly. But he came back from his first overseas tour, and he was talking about in Japan CD players, and you could buy a CD player with a CD burner on it for like
Ooh.
$250. And
Well,
because
isn't
he could get, and CDs were like beyond, they were the next stage at that particular point. And then I remember the argument of record versus CD, digital versus pure analog sound.
Yep, still
Yeah.
goes on today in certain aspects. It's they're just different mediums. CDs are easier because they're compact. Because have you ever tried to take a vinyl Walkman anywhere? It's like
Right.
really.
I do have to say it's easier to put tapes in and out than it is CDs when you're driving a car.
That
Yeah.
is true. Yeah.
Yep.
Mind you, tapes is about that much and CDs that much, and then but vinyl has come back. It's there's a market for it. It's more expensive, but the technology is better. Where the actual vinyl itself, it's not thin and crap. It's thicker, and so there's more resonance and music.
So are
in
we
it.
going to see six channel vinyl switchers inside cars now?
No.
No.
Have you seen what I watched the Elon Musk interview with Joe Rogan, and I found contradictions in it where humanity's going for a big change, and this our consciousness is going to expand. Are there any aliens? No, we haven't got any information. I'm like, what? Hang on, what? And the other one was where the Tesla does everything for you. I'm at the point where I need a calculator to add things. Back in this 20th century, I would use my mind for mathematical things of like divide or times or anything maths, but I have to go to the calculator. The Tesla, it can drive for yourself. Apparently it dances, and it does everything for you. It's like, well, do you need to get in the car?
Yes, if you want to go somewhere.
Well, apart from that, yeah. But it just makes everything lazy. Where in Australia we call them manuals or automatics, and I think the United States you call them sticks because you got the gear stick. Yeah. So did you get your manual license? Yeah, I learned to drive. None of this push stop.
Well, we only have one license here. You don't have to learn. You don't have to get a manual license or a stick license.
Are you kidding me, Monty? There's two different kinds of licenses in Australia.
Yeah, manual license and automatic license.
You've got to be kidding me.
Wow.
No. And that brings us to our subject for today, Gooberment.
Gooberment.
Garbarino.
Yeah. And the ridiculousness of it all, and red tape and bureaucracy, and which is handy because I've been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it's basically all the alphabet agencies, and they're all on the same side but fighting each other. I'm like, yeah, this is great.
So I want to make this statement. If you are listening on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or anywhere else, and want to be a part of the conversation inside our chat rooms, you can use covermints, as Robert is going to put up the how to join the Zoom room graphic here in a second. So when you need to have a cover up of your conspiracy, use covermints. So
now with
right
caca.
Exactly. Now with caca instead of cocoa.
Yeah.
Here's all the information to come and join the Zoom room. So we encourage you where you're at. So if you're on Facebook going, you don't see my comments, I want to be talked to, you're not funny, you got to come into the chat room to do that. So if you're on YouTube and you just see YouTube people going back and forth and they're not listening to my comments, woe is me. You have to be here in the Zoom room. We are only curating comments from the Zoomers. And right now we have a powerful special group of Zoomers who are quite funny. So all you have to do is go to zoom.us, hit the meeting number 911-001-1974, hit the passcode 457-500. You also can dial in via the phone. Since all of the information is on the screen and you millennials expect everything, somebody might post something in Facebook for you.
Yeah, go buy a Tesla.
Such as David Wood and the Friends Who Like Andrew Bartzis group. He's wonderful at posting. But every time I go there, where's my passcode? Where's the this? We put it up every show, guys. So come on and join.
It's called pattern recognition. It happens every show.
Exactly. And yes, this is a comedy show. It is not 5 minutes of joke, laugh, walk off stage. It's 2 hours of long format. So if you are you're not funny, bitch, that kind of stuff, guess what? Tough luck. This is a lighthearted show. And Monty and I are going to make you laugh or put the stick so far up your ass it comes out your tongue.
Yeah, and due to free will, if you don't like what we're doing, stop watching. I know, it's kind of weird.
Right. Over the last couple of weeks, we have been dealing with a non-troll troll. Okay?
We were untrolled?
We were untrolled, trolled, not trolled. So we're going to say this. It is funny. And if you don't like it, to watch it. Wow. Free will.
I like saying, clearly, if you don't find it funny, you're not vibrating at a higher frequency. That's just my ego. I'm just trying to get out of jail free.
we should have a full ego spot.
Ooh. Jeez.
Yes, a full ego spot. Let the ego roll.
Yeah.
Bruce, you got to unmute.
Yeah, because I switched. I switched to my phone and put my camera on so we don't scare the ladies away.
Oh boy, look at that.
Oh, hello. Oh, you're looking very Russian gangster. That's a baseball cap, not a golf cap.
He's got the tracksuit going.
My son calls this my Russian pimp Adidas tracksuit.
Yes, you got your tracksuit going there.
I bought it in the biggest mall in Guatemala City.
Can you move your giant, bright, shiny light to the side a little bit? Yes.
Oh, you mean the candle?
Yes, the candle.
I thought he's being visited by an angel again. Behind you. Shh.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, who should we take the piss out of today?
Oh, can we start with Emperor Biden? Like the shit, like that CNN town hall where, like, what's your favorite ice cream? And if it was, and all the shit that he said, imagine if Trump said the stuff that Biden said in that meeting. Like, apparently, Hispanics and blacks can't get onto the internet. Oh, yeah. What's your favorite ice cream?
What a jackass, Mr. Everyman.
The irony is they gave him those softball questions and he fucked up the softball questions.
Yeah, I noticed during the president.
At least Trump fucks up the hard questions and does the soft questions fine.
Yeah, I remember during the presidential debates where Biden would flip flop in one paragraph. We're not going to lock down. Trump's bad, blah blah blah, and then we'll bring in lockdowns. And it's like, wait, no one noticed this? Like, he changed position in 4 sentences.
Yes, Alan, the clone is not firing on all 8 cylinders.
No.
Are we serious there? Do we think that's a clone?
No, he's not a clone.
That's
the original one. That's why it's falling apart, because he's had way too much work done. And I mean, didn't he tell, like, I keep waking up every morning and asking my wife, where the hell am I? I'm like, that's not a good look, Joe.
That's not a good look. Nope, not a good one.
And there's the from Qdom that there's no one in the White House. He's at Castle Rock, and you keep seeing photos of, like, well, hang on, are these doctors? You see the Oval Office, and there's a break in the set. There's all this weird shit going on.
No, what that is people are photoshopping the background scenes between summer, autumn, and winter. And unfortunately, the people of Cutardia, from the land of Cutards, can't understand what a deep fake is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I watched Ant-Man yesterday, and I'm just blown away from Michael Douglas's because they had to de-age him, and it was so much better than Luke Skywalker one. Where the creators of South Park have something called Sassy Justice, and their deep fakes is just phenomenal. And then you have Disney, who can't get Governor Tarkin right. It's like, really? Because it's but that's the level they're at, where I've seen sort of shots of where the Mandalorian's a good example. Like most of that, 80% of it is in one room with massive LD screens, and you can see planets and everything else like that. It's Wag the Dog at a higher level, where if they actually have good programming and know what they're doing, everything's kind of CGI fake now, or possibly.
The reason is because far too many Disney movies are edited via committee, and the committee lowers the budgets on a scene. They don't need Tarkin to be good, and that's what's blatantly obvious. They didn't put the money into it.
No. Sounds like Texan windmills.
Yes, let's not ice-proof our windmills in Texas.
Yeah, it's a century, but that's pure governmental. It's like, well, what's today? Oh, it's sunny today. Oh, we don't need to have all
there.
We don't need all weather apparatus. And even it's like, but it's Texas. I don't think snow. But as you said yesterday, Andrew, it's like Texas gets snow every year. And
right.
Even who's that idiot who tried to run for office? He's from the Young Turks, Chunk or Cenk or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Syke
Sirac or whatever, isn't it? Yeah, Syke. Yeah.
He's actually gone, see, look, all these Californians that moved to Texas and now they haven't got anything, blah, blah, blah. And people pointing out, once a century storm, California happens yearly. Shut up, you're a knob.
Right. And I want to reiterate, Texas is not foreign to icy rain either. Yes, that is the majority of northern Texas. But if you could ask anybody that's lived in southern Texas, we do see snow every now and then. We do see ice quite frequently, probably once every 3 to 4 years. And yet all of those windmills that were built, none of them were ice-proofed. Not one of them.
Yeah, I've seen photos of the Antarctic where, there's 6 in a row and it's like, they're still working.
Right, they're still working. What's going on here? Now, I have a friend in Texas that showed me her power bill. And normally it was a $200, $210 a month power bill. She has a $6,700 power bill.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's just based on in the last month because everyone needed to stay alive. And there's corruption.
That's a week. That's a week's worth of power, not a month's worth of power.
Yeah. See, this is where I get the idea that Team Dark wants everyone to rebel and kick their ass because the whole, duality game of life on this planet was like, everyone's tired. We really need humanity to step up now. We're fucking over it. Or they're completely dumb and they keep doing this stuff. It's like, oh, we're getting away with it. Yay.
Well, once again, owned by psychopaths, run by idiots.
Run by idiots. Yeah, and the idiots are proving that.
Yeah. This might be the stand up to the bully time that our parents told us about when we were 8.
Oh yeah, power companies. We're gonna go 3 rounds with you. What better than all the armed Texans to go after the power companies?
Yeah, well, which idiot would have pick a fight with Texas? They're not. Yeah, they're docile and they won't do much.
Exactly. They're gonna go camp out in front of the windmills and start shooting the windmills with their guns. I wonder if they bulletproofed them. You bulletproofed your windmills, but you didn't ice-proof them.
Yeah, because, it's outside. It's like even here in Australia, there will be a level of icing because Australia, we're known as outback and hot, but we do have colds. Like if you go into the desert, it's extremely hot during the day and then extremely cold at night.
Yes, I want to thank Zero in the chat room, Don Quixote. Eat your heart out. Hell yeah. We are at a point Don Quixote ain't got nothing on us.
Yeah, just this Mexican guy in a what is it, a F-100 truck driving around going, I kill these little bastards.
Exactly. Where is the power company CEOs? I'm gonna go shoot them. And there's a Mexican and a black man and a Chinese man right next to him, going, "Yes, let's go kill him."
Yeah.
You got extra bags? Yes. Good to go.
See, now, why is it the woke media picking? That's diversifying right there. It's just
Exactly.
We
We can equal opportunity haters.
It's it's the minorities trying to take the white man, which is a load of. If you follow that through, basically all white people are racist. No. It's the British elite. They're the pricks. Because have you seen what the British elite do to their poor? That's the weird thing about racism, where it's like everyone has white privilege. Explain that to everyone on poverty in a trailer park in Tennessee. It's their privilege to live like shit, or choice.
And the British still follow under the rule of a peon, peasant, peon, and Smythe.
Yeah, the peasantry.
Yes.
They're actually apparently the Queen isn't dead, or someone pretending to be the Queen. Prince Harry and what's her face have said, "Oh, we're not coming back to work for the family," and so she's ripped the patronage from them, or whatever it is. So I'm sure some royalists will think it's the end of the world. It's tradition and all this type of shit. It laughs in British. That's a lovely colony you've got there. We wouldn't want anyone to come in and destroy it.
Yes, good old Queens having a temper tantrum right now. None of my grandchildren want to carry on the lizard name. None of them want to be global rulers. None of them want to steal souls forever.
My husband and I. Have you seen Prince Philip? He looks like the stunt double for Emperor Palpatine. Just the sunken eyes. He's nearly a century old.
Well, which of the Queen's families in the hospital now?
That's Prince Philip, the husband.
Prince Philip. Okay.
Yeah, he's nearly a century old, and he's in hospital. Well, we're told that he's in hospital, but the clone could be having a checkup. But this also fuels the whole thing of like, the Vatican's been shut down, and Buckingham Palace is completely empty. And
he's having a loose transfusion.
Yeah, it's not working though. That's that sort of fuels the fire of humanity's coming out of the great darkness, because someone in the higher level, the upper management of Team Dark's gone, you know what? We really need to get middle management cleared out. They're all like, I've seen idiots, but these guys are really high tier idiots.
Yes, these are nepotistic idiots that take idiots to a whole new level.
Yeah, exactly.
There's generational idiocy in here. We can't keep supporting.
There's a family affair of idiots coming along here, like the Clinton lineage. It's like, yeah, we should stop that.
Yes, exactly. Clinton lineage.
Monty, why do you leave one of the ears off your headset? Is your mom making you a meatball sub in the kitchen?
No, I have a cat and I care.
You've left an earphone off so you can hear distress calls from your cat?
Yeah, and also I live, but my doorway is just there as well. I'm not isolated.
Okay.
Not everyone has a fucking mountain to go to.
We don't worry about cats here. They can take care of themselves.
And also you live with other people. I'm just a loner. I'm a man and his cat trying to make a way through the universe. And if I have someone come and knock on the door and blah blah blah, and and also it makes me look like I'm an FM jockey. Hello.
Yeah.
As well as it's like having your hat turned slightly sideways. It's his thing.
Yeah, I'm being gangster. I'm a DJ, yo.
Exactly. Drop your Melbourneian gang signs.
What?
Are there a lot of gangs in Australia?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a curious thing. You never hear about the criminal underworld, and I thought it ended when they ended when they locked Chopper up.
No, Hell's Angels and biker clubs are huge in Australia.
Yeah, I knew about the biker clubs. Yeah.
There's, if you want to have a look at the criminal underbelly of Australia, there is a TV show called Underbelly, and it just follows all. It's crime non-fiction. Well, it's crime fiction because it's obviously made for television. But there was like a gangland war back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I think that's when it was. And they just turned it into a TV series. And it was so popular that there's up to 6 or 7 versions, seasons now, where they just go find great epic criminal stories of Australian history and they make it into a TV show. So Underbelly, if you're fascinated with that, Bruce, Underbelly's the way to go.
And I'll take a look. Sure, why not?
Yeah. Well, Narcos Australia will not be as interesting.
No, not really. We're a big island at the end, arse end of the world. But it's you can see even the corruption in police and the criminal and everything else like that. And actually, it got that bad. When the show was going to air, there was still an ongoing court case, and so 1 or 2 episodes weren't shown in Melbourne because it may affect witnesses. And I think Victoria's the only state you can't actually buy the Blu-ray of the first season. If I go to New South Wales, I can buy it. So that's the legalities of it. It's and they even had to put in the show, we don't know what happened next because there is still court proceedings.
Exactly. And what is it? What do we got? Alan saying kangaroos are drug mules. That's how you get. It's how you get your drugs across. That's how Narcos transports its drugs across Australia.
No, there are actually more of the standover men. They'll rip you apart with their feet and their claws.
Yeah, but there's a thing. The kangaroos are their own gang.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, you got emus, kangaroos. In the Northern Territory, right near Alice Springs, in the center. Oh, that's just wrong. There's actually indigenous gangs, but they're named after metal bands. So there's the Megadeths, the Slayers, the Metallicas. It's not like Cribs or Bloods. They've taken metal band names.
Wow, how creative!
Yeah, but maybe it's
well,
all that.
At least
time
they're not the Crocodile Dundeeans.
Well, yeah.
The Gangaroos. There you go. Thank you, Joyce.
The Kangaroos.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me how, culture and criminality go together. So, I mean, most of the gang and organized crime in Canada, a lot of it is Vancouver now, and there's reasons for that. But for decades and decades, it was Quebec. Like the French just, the Hells Angels, the Italian Mafia, the Chinese Triads, and just endless stories from Quebec. And then,
on Netflix, there's 2 seasons all about the Quebec gang wars that went on from the Italian Mafia side. It is fabulous, and it's a Canadian production, one all the way through. I binge watched all 2 seasons in like 3 days. It was, oh my god, amazing, because they actually talk about what the Hells Angels doing, what the Mafias, the Triads, what they were all really doing.
Yeah, that was really kind of something in the 90s and the early 2000s. The gang wars just went on forever. The Hells Angels, man. I mean, in Canada, they were approaching $1 billion. They still are huge.
Still are,
huge. Is that billion dollar enterprise?
Is that why the government hates these gangs? Because they're operating outside their operation?
I think my feeling is in a lot of instances they're arms of the central control, or the dark parts of the central control, right? They're massively connected. I've known a lot of these gangsters, and they're massively connected. So I mean, if you're way up the totem pole or middle management, to get pinched and do some time, it's all pretty much negotiated ahead of time. Okay, you're going to do somebody has to do a bit of time. You're going to do 4 years, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So pick someone in your organization to do 4 years.
Yep, and they do easy time too. They run the prisons in Canada, the Hells Angels. They absolutely run it. They're very fair too, because I did some volunteer work with the Association of Defense of the Wrongfully Convicted. I actually wrote a book that never published about a guy that got convicted for first-degree murder, and I learned a lot about prison culture. And when the wrongfully convicted that are in the media and everything go to the prison, they have an internal council, and it's led by the Hells Angels, and they look at all the evidence and they go, "No, he didn't kill a kid. Nobody touch him." And they actually end up getting protected until it all gets resolved, and they're out 5 or 7 years later, and they get their 10 million in compensation.
Bruce, are you saying that in the justice system, there's a small section that actually follows justice?
And it's called the Hells Angels. And it's called the Hells Angels.
Yeah, they have more honor than the justice system. Like, you'll get a fair shake, right? You'll get a fair shake in jail. You know.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to get shook in a different way.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
When you drop the soap.
Yeah. It's fascinating how there's that joke of like, Dad, I'm thinking about I'm becoming a criminal when I get older, and the dad goes, private or public?
I'm stealing that.
Yes, private or public. Come on.
I'll have that joke sold for $100 10 minutes after this show, Monty.
Yeah, and then and yeah, and then it'll be plagiarized because it's a meme that's been around for years. So
thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, it's a street joke, if you're familiar with that term.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
Street jokes basically means everyone knows the joke, but it's still funny, and it's not like we wrote it, but it's been around the lexicon. You know, it's like dad jokes. I'm hungry. Hi, hungry. I'm dad. Shut up, Dad.
Or do you guys know about the ATR button joke?
No.
Nope.
Not everybody knows about it. The automatic tampon remover. God, I heard that joke in like 4th grade.
Okay.
Never mind.
Yeah, and some jokes are stuck in time. Fly piper dildo. Thank you, Sean.
Yes, the fly paper dildo.
Oh dear. Anyone know what drunk grandma's doing? You know, Nancy Pelosi? Because the last time I saw her, she actually interrupted a press conference and started banging the podium because she didn't get her way. With she's still the TDS, the Trump derangement syndrome, hasn't gone away. It's quite funny to watch where Trump's out of office, everything's supposed to be all right, but there's this massive vacuum. It's like, let's bring Trump back and just keep vilifying him.
Yeah, I think we need to rename her Senile Losi.
Yeah. And I like how can we make the country better? Well, we'll keep voting in these 80-year-old millionaires. That's going to work out well.
Oh, Santo. Santo is saying that Nancy's gone back to pole dancing.
Well, it is San Francisco. They're very progressive.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Pole dancing. Get that image out of my head.
You swine.
Exactly. Stop that. Oh.
The power of the imagination. Don't want that in your belief engine. Now, every time you watch Nancy trying to keep her teeth still because she's on her 8th vodka, can we end this interview quickly? I've got a session down at Kitty Cat's.
Yeah, I've got some lobbyists to see.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
I'm just granting myself. Don't worry.
Yeah, they're just shoving dollar bills into her campaign pocket.
Yeah. Oh God. What? Did we just go to Deadpool level of humor?
Yes, we did.
Oh, that's just wrong.
Her special grandma pocket that's for campaign dollars.
Yep. I follow Hillary Clinton on Twitter, and I keep retweeting it and quoting, because the shit that keeps coming out, like, we have to follow the law, and you have to pay for your crimes, and it's like, yeah, you first, bitch. She's gotten shorter.
So, Bruce, what comical things do you want to introduce today?
Yes, Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I don't know what's
You're Canadian.
know.
Come on. What do Canadians
What-
laugh about?
Yeah, we're talking about government, and you're
Oh,
from
hey
Canada.
man. Okay, let me be clear about this because it came down to Canada. Canada is actually punching way above its weight in the comedy world. It's one of the things we do really well. So there's hockey, we produce writers, and we produce stand-up comedians and sketch
Yeah.
Mike Myers, Jim Carrey, the list just goes
All
on
Americans,
and on and on.
all American citizens.
Yeah, there was a while where it was really weird. Yeah, well, they're American citizens now, but there was a while about 15 years ago, all the leading men were Australian and all the comedic leads were Canadian. It was like an impossible to get a film gig in the United States and Hollywood if you were an American male.
Because they were cheaper.
And all
Yeah,
the villains
yeah,
are British. Have you noticed that all the villains are British?
Yes. British
Yeah.
thespian, like Royal Academy actors.
Yeah, all the villains, and yeah, it's kind of weird watching TV shows and like, oh, who's that? I've seen them before. Australian. Wow, their accent's awesome because I wouldn't pick that. And so there's even a guy in season 3 of Agents of Shield. There's a guy who's an Australian, and he was on Neighbours. If you're familiar with that soap opera.
Yeah, somebody just wrote the Just for Laughs festival in Montreal. A lot of people broke out there. It was one of the biggest comedy festivals in the world.
Yeah, there's 3 big comedy festivals. There's the Melbourne Comedy Festival. There's the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and Just for Laughs. The interesting thing about Just for Laughs is it's invite only.
Yeah,
and that all started in the French bit. That whole thing, it was the French doing all their stand-up, and then the English side got it, and so that pissed off the French even more in Canada.
So I have some friends that are doing really well on the comedy circuit. They've been in the UK, one of them since about 2000, and then another 2 of them since about 2004. And these were former roommates of mine. I shared a house with them after my divorce. And I mean, they're going nuts now because, COVID has hit comedy really hard because comedy is a live event, right? And I get they send me these emails once in a while, or these missives on Facebook where the gigs are being offered, right? And it's like, do comedy for like 300 people in a corporation from Zoom, and without you tell me, Monty. I've never been on stage, but without the live audience, it's really hard to do to get into that energetic cycle and get into your comedy, right? Because it's symbiotic.
Yeah, it is. You need the energy exchange. Any performer on stage, there's a reason. Like Metallica love touring because there's a slight addiction of when you're playing to 50,000 people each time, you get that energy exchange. But also with comedy, it's instant gratification. And like when you're on Zoom, it's, why did the chicken cross the road? Immigration. Then you have to look at the chat and just look at the lols, and it's not the same. It's like, I'd like a hit of heroin. Here's an aspirin. It's instead of say, this much percentage, it's down to it's nearly 20 times less of the energy exchange.
Monty, you and I have had this conversation many times about what the show does for the presenter you versus the live stage you. Now, it's been some years since you've been on live stage, but this type of show, live 2-hour format, virtually no break, it does give you quick wit.
Yeah. Well, you have to. It's it exercises the improvisation muscles because usually
Right. And those improvisation muscles, having that live audience makes a difference. Now, I've been in front of a live audience doing conferences and hotel events many, many years. And let me tell you something, there is nothing like the live audience. It brings out a whole different level of my unique personality.
Yeah, I actually did a gig in 2017 and I wasn't used to it. It's like, why is everyone staring at me? I'm on stage with a spotlight.
Right.
But just so nervous because it's that classic, like, keyboard warrior. If a lot of people that actually said things that they post in front of the person they said it to, no one, 80% of stuff that's said on the internet would not be said to the person's face. Mainly because they could punch you, but it's that hiding behind the screen or the keyboard.
Right. And you can't tell if somebody's heckling you through chat.
Well,
Okay?
because text is only 7% communication as well.
Right.
And it's like we're in this reality, we got to the point we don't know what satire and parody is anymore. Because say if AOC says something, oh, she's being funny, and there are people that believe her 100%. It's like, no, she's right. And then there's a great Twitter account, Titiana McGrath, completely made up. And Andrew Doyle is the genius behind it. And Titiana has been just taking the piss out of wokedom for years, and she's been banned from Twitter about 3 or 4 times, and then comes back because it is a parody account. But it's strange when someone doesn't realize that and they react to. They put in a tweet like, "How dare you?" And then there's 7 or 8. It's a parody account. It's like, oh, now it's funny.
Now it's funny, exactly.
Yeah, and that's what
it's like.
It's
like when you and I decided to do this comedy show. How many psychics are doing a comedy show? None. Why? Because the stick is so far up their ass, it's coming out their tongue. Okay?
Yeah, they got pole dancing completely wrong.
Yeah, they got pole dancing completely wrong. Internal pole dancing.
Yes.
Now, to be able to share this space with Monty and with Bruce and anyone that comes on is pure enlightenment joy for me. It is taking the seriousness of the material and adding a unique laugh factor to it. Every now and then we'll talk about serious shit, but it still falls back to the giggly laugh stuff. And I can say stupid stuff as my metaphor, and I don't have to give the serious metaphor of what I'm describing.
Yeah, it's the same ideal with Planet Collingwood, the show I have on Revolution Radio. And I think people at the station understand what it is as well, because Bruce is a regular guest, and it's basically taking the piss out of things, making people laugh, breaking up the energy. Because if you've got 2 studios 24/7 talking about serious stuff, which is warranted because you need to find out all this stuff, and then me, the clown, comes in and goes, hey, what's Nancy Pelosi's drunk, what's going on there? It just breaks up the it's just fascinating when someone comes on and starts being serious and then wonders why everyone's not taking them seriously.
Yeah,
it's quite funny.
Like when we first started, I was telling you to rename your round table the Octagon.
Come on, you fuckers.
Exactly. Put them into verbal submission.
Yeah. But people are people have realized it's the serious type of people like Bruce, John Wayne, not the actor. That's my nickname for him. Just because obviously it's not the actor, he's dead. But he's got a brilliant show, I think on Saturdays on Revolution Radio, Studio A. And he comes on and he understands the parameters of, he shares information. However, he's accepting to the comedy stuff, and he finds funny bits as well. And even like Bruce, when you come on, it's just because there's the lag in the communications. It's the timing that's the rough part from a comedic point of view, is trying to get in and get a line in.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, live is, I too, gentlemen, have been on live stage. I read from my first novel at the Harbourfront International Authors Festival in Toronto. I went to the Halifax International Authors Festival. I ended up having beers all night with the lady who writes the Bones series. They made a TV show out of it. She's an actual criminal forensic anthropologist. And it was pretty cool, but getting up and that energy between a stage and people is just, it's pure magic. I can understand why if you do it once, you understand share. You understand why people get addicted to it, right? It's just,
There's something about the performer, the performance, and the exchange of performance audience energy that just catalyzes a deeper focus, a deeper frequency of the material coming out. Like I can remember being on stage and there was a plant behind me that I named Bob, and suddenly Bob was telling jokes, and I put a $20 bill on the plant, and I asked the audience who could tell a joke that would make Bob the Orchid laugh. Okay, and nobody was able to do it. That whole event, no one was able to make that. No one was able to make the plant laugh. They were all, and I was saying, what are your best light worker jokes or your best light worker pickup lines? Okay,
it's interesting too. Like stand up, you make people laugh, so there's more of a different energy exchange. When you're in a band, like I'm from the heavy metal world, where when the song's actually working quite well because they're actually moshing and headbanging and all that type of stuff. But from like your experience, Bruce, totally different, but still there is that exchange. It's just you reading a book. But there's still that, everyone's intently staring and listening at you, and it's you still have that interaction.
So in a lot of my live events, I'll talk for 8-9 hours with a lunch break in between, but I'm still talking for 8 or 9 hours. And because I generally start at 10 and end around 7 or 8, and I let people go on off dinner, and I come back and I do another hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, where I'm just sitting on a chair, on a comfortable chair, having a drink. And people are like, what are you drinking? Rum and Coke? Okay. And by the time the second rum and Coke comes, it's just a second. It's not that big of a deal, but there's a whole different sting to my words. And people are asking me serious questions about the baby raping lizard wizards. And I'm just like, bzz, 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 bzz.
Yeah. It's quite fun. I look at Bashar, not the leader of Syria. Oh, hello. I'm sorry. With Bashar, like the comedy that entity has is fascinating as well. There's a not famous, but during one, he calls it transmissions when he's talking to the public. But someone, would say, hello, I'm from SETI. And he's like, what's SETI? The search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And he just goes, well, I'm here. It's just that's the one thing I do. That's what I love about Ascended Masters or channeling and all that type of. Most higher frequency entities have an awesome level of comedy, which makes me fascinated. It's like, you can tell people that have a lower vibration, they're not that funny, or it's always negative humor and bitter, and they're just throwing shit out. And
they're Karen and Ken. They're Karen and Ken channelers.
Yeah,
and anybody with consciousness is funny because you start to see life differently. You see a different kind of a comedy, and more karmic, let's say. But everybody with consciousness I've ever met, really, if they have consciousness, they're funny. When you talk to them privately, if it's a Sufi sheikh and he's addressing 200 students, he's not going to be funny. But when you're out having a coffee with him, he'll just crack you up. It's nonstop.
Yeah, I have a friend who actually knows the Dalai Lama, and he's got a wicked sense of humor.
Yeah, I did know that.
I could see, because he still sometimes it comes out on stage occasionally where he's still 7. He's giggling and even he's in his 14th body and he's aware of it, and he's still got that childlike wonder. So that's, ladies and gentlemen, it's childlike, not childish.
Well said. Well said.
Should put that on.
What else? What other bones can we chew on here? American politics. I don't know. There's a lot of dogs fighting for that bone, and I don't see anything funny there right now. But I guess there is.
The whole thing is funny, but it's like I after the election cycle, there's sort of that energy drain, and like as I mentioned before, they're trying to bring Trump back into the zeitgeist because they're trying to look for another hit. And because they've been attacking Trump. What was CNN in the first week of Biden's administration? The ratings dropped 44%.
Yeah, I think they're all bleeding. I think they're all bleeding money now. I don't think that those are viable operations. They've got to be bleeding money.
Yeah, they're going to be bleeding money. All right, so here's a Dalai Lama joke. The Dalai Lama sent an email to Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping opened the email and clicked on the attachment. It was malware, and the party's computer system crashed. Xi Jinping got on the phone and angrily demanded an answer from His Holiness. And His Holiness said, with attachment comes suffering.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
What I find funny about the Dalai Lama is a man that goes around the planet teaching compassion and forgiveness is labeled a terrorist by the Chinese government.
Yeah,
what we need is love. Kill him.
Yeah, they got a whole other lexicon over there in China. Up is down, black is white.
Yes, here's another one. I follow the Dalai Lama on Twitter, but he didn't follow me back. He's very self-centered.
And there's the classic one. What did the Buddhist monk order at a restaurant? Can I the hot dog vendor? Can I have one with everything, please?
I don't get
it. See, that's why you haven't progressed in your spiritual. I actually shared a meme where it's two Buddhist monks laughing, and it only says, and then she says, "You only live once," and they're just crying from laughter. Oh, it's make me one for everything. Thank you, Sean.
You've given me a tremendous craving for street meat. I used to eat at those vendors all the time in Toronto. They were really good. And
oh my God, I have a street meat addiction.
Yeah, there's no.
I need IV street meat.
Yeah. As it's a comedy show, do you want to explain what street meat means? Because it could be a euphemism.
The guy with the bushy mustache with the aluminum cart and the umbrella in the winter, and he's like serving up hot dogs and coke
to all right, yeah.
Outside the financial sector. And I don't think yourself, those guys are doing $200K a year, man. That's a really good gig. That's in like if you can get right in a downtown core in a financial sector or something, that's a really good gig.
Yeah, some of them have the vertical spit, some are hot dogs, burgers, but I have had an addiction for street meat for so long because I did a lot of traveling with the nature of the job that I do. That's funny, street meat.
I actually went more sexual there, Robert, but still, yeah, you get the point. So they didn't even move it; they painted over it. There's government right there.
So I remember flying into Portland to do some private work with some high-end corporate clients, and they put me up in a pretty posh hotel right there in downtown Portland. And I come out the hotel, and to the right of me, I'm like, oh, what is that smell? And I just let myself be attracted. And then there's 7 street vendors on one side, 5 street vendors over there, and a pizza place over there. Oh, the joy, the smells, the conflagration of smells in one spot, plus with the diesel buses. Followed by the diesel buses that have been converted to run on fry oil. So diesel and burnt French fries.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the confluence of smells.
The street markets in Asia, like when I lived in Taiwan, it was unbelievable the food you could get on the street, just unbelievably good. And everything's fresh over there. If you're up late drinking one night at the karaoke or something and you're driving home at 4 a.m. on your motorcycle, you see all the trucks with the pigs and the chickens going to the restaurants and everything. It's all super fresh. But a lot of street meat in China, man. A lot. I ate everything in China: cat, dog, rat, snake, like everything. And my policy on meat now is as long as the sauce is good, I'll eat it.
I'm the same way. I've done cat, dog, rat, snake. I've done all that. I'm a person that will try anything once.
Yeah, I mean, the concept of famine is really, if you're capable of eating anything, famine is an impossibility. It's just there's always something to eat. There's insects. There's something, right?
Yeah, well, that's part of the
famine. Spice up this famine comedy routine a bit, Monty.
So people are dying.
Catch that? Spice it up.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure my one good joke so far got heard, so I had to repeat it.
It sounds a bit half-baked. Anyway, the interesting thing about is that there's part of the wokedom are pushing to save the planet. Let's all eat bugs, and it's like, no, we have agriculture, you idiot.
Let's discuss. If we may, let's discuss that for a moment, okay? And really dig into this for at least 40 seconds. I'm just going to do dramatic pauses and grin when I make a joke now, so everybody knows it's a joke. I forgot what I was going to say now. How how bad or not bad is the situation with the Earth? Like, we know global warming is a hoax, but are there any environmental concerns we have to take into account? I know in Costa Rica, they were pretty close to chopping down all the forests in the early 80s, and the government turned it around, and now it's about 80% jungle here now. It's all returned. But logging, like my father-in-law, who passed last year, he raised 11 kids just cutting trees down on this mountain. You find a Coca-Cola tree at 50 grand, right? And then they made it all illegal. But so what is the state of the world? Like, how should we be interacting with this world now in terms of our supply chain, and all of these things? Are there any Earth-based concerns we need to take into?
Our biodiversity should absolutely be protected.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, what level do you want to go? Like, are we at catastrophic? Because, like, humans are still doing bad things, and the planet is taking a couple of hits and scratches. But as Andrew and I have pointed out, the whole thing of if the planet was in trouble, she would just shrug and pole shift and wipe us all off. So, but that doesn't mean, we continue polluting and all that. It's, it comes down to, the whole overpopulation angle. There's too many people. No, it's just bad management. And that comes to the environmental side of things, where here in Australia, Rio Tinto, the mining company, blew up a sacred site that is 40,000 years old. And then they said, oops, sorry. It's like, it's humanity versus profit. And so we have to sort of get into the mindset of balance with nature, basically. But it's the whole thing of what do you need to destroy just to make a profit? There are other ways of doing it.
Yeah,
exactly. And the greater journey to protecting biodiversity is attacking the nature of the corruption. Example, like the shrimp markets and the crab markets and the salmon markets, they've overfished them to the point where they're not allowing them to recover. And the current laws that are out there are just making the prices go up more and the demand go up more. Versus actually deploying science to reseed the oceans with fish. Like, they could very easily convert oil tankers to be massive in-sea fish farms to produce eggs for shrimp, and because they have land-based saltwater shrimp farms that grow shrimp from the ground up to be sold at restaurants. Popcorn shrimp that aren't of full age, but all those could be redone on ships, so you could reseed them into the ocean and use the existing ocean water, so you're not having closed circuit systems where disease could kill them all.
Yeah, bad management, basically. It's like if you're. This is where I get the whole New World Order thing. Is like, we'll cut the population to 500 million people. Well, no, that will fuck up the whole loosh farm thing, because that they're not going to get the same products. You need billions of people. You need a better way of controlling them from a farm point of view. But that's why I don't see the New World Order kicking in. They like to have the threat of the New World Order, which produces loosh. So that makes sense. But I don't know. There'll be a mass cull. They want to do that, but I think it's that. I remember Andrew were talking about. They're trying to start World War III. They've been trying to start World War III since 1945. And so that threat's always in the background, just generating fear, kicking it along. But they don't want to actually have World War III. Why do you want to, shit what you eat type thing?
Yeah.
So the greater journey here is to understanding the nature of corruption, breeds the mismanagement of all aspects of the world ecosystem. Example, like they set up in the 1970s the disaster funds for super toxic sites, yet none of those companies have actually put $1 into their own Superfund sites. It's all government funded. And we're talking major corporations who are still in business today that just left toxic disaster zones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's my understanding that they still have not properly cleaned up the two sites. One is Hanford.
Correct.
I can't remember. The second one I can't remember, but it's where Fat Man and Little Boy were made. The bombs dropped on Nagasaki, and there's still a lingering environmental problem. and they don't know what to do with it.
It's because it made it into the drinking water, actually the water table at 300 feet, and they have no idea to fix it.
Yeah. And in the U.S., there's a whole bunch of radioactive material buried underground in these tanks that are starting to crack. So there are a few problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the environment has to be considered, but you know, this Green New Deal and this radical rhetoric we're getting out of the World Economic Forum and Justin Trudeau and Macron in France and now Biden. I swear to God, the moment Biden walked in, it's just like Trudeau just faxed the notes that he got from his global organization. Hey, here's what we're doing now. Just to make like you're just keeping up with the class. And
we know you're a little delayed in your processing. Here's the notes from Davos. Yeah. So there's just so much. Go ahead, Monty.
Oh, it's just I found it interesting where we're dealing in the mainstream 3D. We haven't even touched on what's being hidden from us. Where now I know it's Benjamin Fulford, and who knows if any of it's been correct, but he's put forward that we could clean up the planet in less than a year if you had the right systems and the right technology.
Yeah, maybe, quite possibly. I mean, there's a lot of technology out there. I used to work for a 6-time-a-year publication called the Environmental Waste Reporter, and we just reviewed technologies that were coming out. But what I can tell you is that, you know, modernization, it does come with problems. And so when you just look at like the really first bad thing that we made very early on for the transformers and electricity to keep them cool were the PCBs, the polychlorinated benfills. It's a bitch getting rid of those things, and that's like a 115-year-old problem. And we, you know, so there are things I think about. Will they take you know, do they warrant the measures that we're seeing now? No, not at all. Absolutely not at all.
Well, it's part of it seems to be part of the whole globalism where now I can see Earth becoming one if it's allowed to happen naturally. But what they're doing, they're pushing it and they want to make it into their own version of the New World Order, and as well as you know, the energy and the Great Reset, where you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. I don't think we'll be happy. Like not owning, renting everything. It's like, really?
Is it just like, me, or is that dude super creepy? I mean, what is with the Andromedan disco outfit? I mean, seriously, man.
Oh,
what is going on with that guy?
Is it? I only know him as Anal Schwab, but is it Alan Schwab? Whatever that guy. You know, he wore a samurai that costume, and I think it's like this is a weird thing where the opening of CERN, where they did all that ritual, and they've got Shiva at the front, and it's like, aren't you people supposed to be scientists to better humanity? And you're dealing with the dark arts, like the ceremony of CERN opening up. It's like, what is this, a Super Bowl halftime show? What's going on?
Yeah, they're all in those freaky clubs now. You know.
Yeah, and they think they're better than humanity.
They've been a part of those clubs a long time. Now, I want to touch on the CERN Shiva thing. That's example of let the curtain open up and let them see how Oz is run, and they can't do nothing about it.
Mm.
That's the triple middle finger. Okay, finger where the other finger comes from. Yeah. That's that extra hand.
Yeah, sup up, bitch. Yeah,
exactly.
I refer to CERN.
You down with math, bitches?
Oh, you like life? I love to take your life.
I am Shiva the Destroyer. I'm coming for your Slurpee.
I refer to destroyer of your world. Mine's fine. I destroy. No, not destroy. I'd like to destroy CERN. I call CERN Satan's donut because it's massive, and I do love it. I've named it. There was a ferret, and I've named him Pierre. The Prime Creator gave him a mission, and he was successful. He chewed on some of the wires, killed himself, but disarmed the one of the colliders for about 8 months.
Yes.
Like,
caused $7.2 billion in damage. One fuck hell of a weasel.
Exactly. It's like, okay, I'll take one for the team for you, all right?
I'll take the 5 billion volts. Exactly. Shiva, watch this. I'm coming for you.
There's a cartoon, Shiva versus the Weasel. Come on, bitch.
Imagine being those scientists when they finally get told a weasel gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think we really need to tell that.
Yeah, the only thing that comes to mind when we go into the weasel discussion here is I could really use a few good mongoose over here. I wonder if that would screw up the ecosystem completely. If it would
destroy it. It would destroy it. It would just absolutely destroy it.
Something's got to bite back on the snakes here, Andrew. It's just ridiculous, man. It's like there's just too many. I mean, I don't go like a week or so without coming across a venomous snake. And I was just thinking, why is that? Why is there no, it doesn't seem to be any. The only natural predators to the snakes here are other snakes. We have breeds of snakes that eat snakes. Yeah. And that's the only thing. But yeah, I would say that I have a terciopelio problem up here, the way New York has a rat problem. You don't see them all the time, but they're everywhere. And all it takes is one bad trip to the John at 3 o'clock in the morning and chank lettuce. And you're not going to die, but you got like 3 hours to get to the clinic and get the antivenom in you. It's a big pain in the ass. You got to wake people up and stuff.
Literally a big pain in the ass. Yeah.
Does Steven have gas in his truck? I just stopped in.
What are you doing? It's 4 a.m. Yeah, but this snake won't let go of my ass.
Yeah.
He bit onto my balls.
Yeah. If I ever do get a tourism business going up here, like overnights in the jungle and everything, I got to get a lawyer to get me a lock solid waiver here. If you fall, we leave you. Like, there's no medevac. This isn't Disney World, bad. There's no medevac. You're not getting out of here. If you fall, you die. Watch where you're walking.
You like to point out we're not the Marines.
We told you to bring knee-high Wellingtons. You brought your fancy Columbia ankle-high hiking shoes. Why didn't you listen?
We aren't the Marines. We will leave men behind.
Exactly. This is Costa Rica. We will leave you behind. It's in your paperwork.
Yeah.
Welcome to Chateau Bruce. You may die and be left to rot in the jungles, but it's good for the ecosystem.
So there has to be a way to create some kind of snake repelling frequency energy.
Yeah, I want to get on that actually. It's not so much my property. I don't know what's going on here, but like when I go to visit my relatives and stuff, and I just hear the snake stories, and I say to Rosemary, my wife, I say, why aren't we having all these problems with snakes? She says, I don't know. But David and his brother, my two abaca cutters, they kill a snake every 3 days, like a 2-meter terciopello, right? And you don't see them to the last second. Yeah,
of course. I have an idea.
That's the thing is, you don't see them to the last second. It's
have an outdoor rave once a month. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
You know what? That idea crossed my mind actually. The valley here is big enough. We get some porta potties and some portable showers, and we could have like 2,000 people here and do a cacao rave for sure. And the cacao would all be local.
I don't know about that.
But if you get bit,
the people that it would attract, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. When I say an outdoor rave, don't invite anyone. Just have the sound system thumping away.
Just the sound system.
Yeah, they're very sensitive to vibrations, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, and then there's like here in the States, there's this tree that produces this fruit you can't eat, but when you cut open to it, it's super highly citric and acidic, and it makes it like you could just bring it into a room and spiders within 50 feet will flee forever. Yeah. And it does the same thing to snakes here too.
Oh, nice.
I'll look into it. I wouldn't mind getting something. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So there's definitely ways to figure out how to repel snakes. And then obviously setting up the right kind of snake traps. That's the other process. Just like they set up the rat traps up here in the major commercial districts.
Well, it makes sense. Like I'm sure there's one or two answers in the ecosystem to balance it out. Like here in Australia, we have to cull kangaroos occasionally because the English killed most of the Aboriginals.
I don't want ecosystem advice from the people who brought in the cane toad. Thank you very much.
Well, I didn't do that.
No, but You bear the mark, Aussie. You bear the mark.
You are the cane toad perpetrator.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's not bring up the rabbits then.
Do you have an Aussie birth certificate then? You bear the mark.
No, I have an English, but it's worse. I have an English birth certificate.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was born in Nottingham, and then 3 months later, my parents came home. So I have a citizenship. So I've got half a mark.
I got a buddy in Scotland who's winning a lot of awards now for a nature documentary he did. He's a documentary filmmaker, Rob McKay, and he was just recently in contact with me, and he says, "Bruce, I want to do a documentary on jaguars. Do you think that you could arrange for me to see a jaguar in the wild?" I said, "You have $400." He says, "That's all it costs." I said, "Yeah, you just got to stake a pig and hang out long enough. It's just stake a pig." And if they, after 30 minutes, just go twist the pig's ear and then go back your 100 meters away and you're duck blind and just wait for it with your cameras. You'll see it.
So Alan in the chat room started a new business, snake meat street vendor.
Yeah.
There you go.
You can eat a snake.
Snake meat El Pastor. It'll be the new rave.
So what do you have here? Oh, we have beautiful snakes from the mountains of Costa Rica. It's imported every day. These are beautiful things. They are very tasty.
It's a huge business here, though, exporting to pet stores illegally, right? You got especially the parrots and a few other things, right? People like sea turtle eggs for some reason. I don't know. Those sell really well. I got second cousins in my family doing that down along the coast. I just berate them every time they come up to the mountain, right? Why in the hell are you doing that? Why not just become a car mechanic or something? But it's easy money. Easy money. There's not as much wildlife where I live because the natives still live off the land, right? So and they eat everything. They eat the monkeys. They eat everything. Like anything that moves, they have a recipe for it. They'll cook it up, and
that's why everything's in control. They have control of their biodiversity, and therefore you can go out and take a piss in the middle of the night, get bit by a snake.
Yeah.
So you got to tell your brother-in-law to let them hunt more on your land.
Yeah, that might work. Yeah. So you just can eat anything up here, man. Anything up here. The mountain rivers are just full of fish too. I forget the Spanish name of this fish, but it sells for like $11 a kilogram. It's like the salmon of Costa Rica or of Central America. And you can just go and I could go tomorrow down to the river and just catch two of them. There's just food everywhere here, everywhere.
Yeah, it's like a sample pack of the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
Sample pack, exactly.
Costco sampler.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wonder what was the Garden of Eden. Have you been to Costa Rica? In 1,000 square miles, you have everything, and 50% of it can't be removed from there because of traveling and storage.
Yeah, you'd have to get out of San Jose within 4 hours to keep that myth alive, though. That this it's a beautiful place. One night in San Jose, you'd get back on the plane, and it's a fun town if you like gambling and drugs and whores and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but everyone has that.
It's by its namesake, San Jose.
Yeah, but exactly. Everybody has it, but it's on steroids here, Monty. It's on steroids, right? Yeah.
We have the weather for it.
Look up the Del Rey Hotel, Costa Rica. Just look up the Del Rey. They actually have a live camera going into the casino. It's like a Bond film. Every woman in there could be in a Bond film, an extra in a Bond film. And but once you get out of the city, but a lot of people are going to the city, and it's the same thing happening here as everywhere else, right? That's not the Del Rey. Not that I'd know.
Allegedly, yes. Yeah, thanks for that, Robin. What are you looking at?
Oh, that is the Del Rey.
That is the Del Rey, yeah.
That is the Del Rey. I actually know that guy at the desk. I've been here 6 years. Yeah, I've only been married 3.
Yes, when Bruce wants to be a part of a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
Puts on the tuxedo, swabbles in.
Also, In fairness to myself, I have read copious blackjack books, and I generally win at blackjack. I don't win exorbitant amounts. I play a very simple system. So my system is you got to be willing to lose what you want to win. So if I want to make $1,000, I bet $1,000 and I quarter it into four $250 bets. And that's all I do. And when I double my money, I leave. And that's from years of playing blackjack and realizing that every single time I've sat down at $1 or $2 chip blackjack table just to kill time, drinking a Miller Genuine Draft in Vegas, 100% of the time I double my money at some point, right? And the thing is, you just knowing when to leave.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's my really well-formed excuse for being at the show, right?
That makes sense of like the universe. It's like, you know, I need all this money, and the universe gives it to you, and then you don't leave, and then you lose it all because the universe has gone,
yeah,
you should have fucking learned your lesson, you dumb twat.
Yeah, there's no renegotiating the manifestation contract. We heard this 30 minutes ago. Get out of here, asshole.
Yeah,
exactly. All right, guys, we're going to take our break right now. Robert, go ahead and set up the break. We're going to be back in about 5 minutes, everyone. So go to the bathroom, grab a beer, take the stick out of your neighbor's ass, sit down, share the link, get more people to come and watch. All right, everyone, we'll see you in about 5 minutes.
I'm going to go piss on some snakes.
I want you, and I want y'all to hear this. If y'all don't hear anything in this broadcast, if you don't hear anything else in this broadcast, listen to this very carefully. If you are a middle-class individual, you have a small business, you may have a therapy business and so on, you are at the bottom of the financial food chain. People feed off of you. And they do not care. They don't care.
No, they don't. And the people at the lowest level of the totem, you have to enthusiastically innovate your way out of this. And innovation is going to be one of the few unique tools they can't censor from you.
All right. So how do we free ourselves from financial slavery? To free yourself from financial tyranny, number one, stop thinking that everything is going to be okay. Stop that thought process. Everything is going to be okay only when you make it okay. That's number one. Number two, stop spending money on stupid shit. Okay? There's no other way to say that.
Right.
The stock market is on the upswing. How could it be on the upswing if everything you see around you is on the downswing? How many businesses have closed? Okay? How many people are being how many people are living hand to mouth? Really?
A lot.
Okay? I'm just giving you the points here. Number three, please stop depending on people to give you a salary.
Right. So starting your own business means you have to innovate. How does a massage therapist adapt to an online environment?
A massage therapist adapts to an online environment by changing to a massage educator online. It's absolutely important for your survival. And I mean survival all around. If you're still paying a landlord thousands of dollars for a business that isn't open, you have to seriously reevaluate your situation. Okay? Because you're under lockdown. Okay?
To give you the tools so you can start innovating your way out of your situation.
What's happening right now is that even if we come out of this pandemic, even if this pandemic disappears tomorrow, the financial damage that has already been done will last for many, many years.
The key is innovate, innovate, innovate. No more vertical thinking, lateral thinking. That's how you play the field.
In this economy, if you don't have lateral thinking, you are just waiting to be bankrupt. Okay? You're just waiting.
So right now we have a lot of very educated people, some new people to the audience, and people that may not understand some of the other backgrounds that for many years David and I have been business coaches, helping people at the high level of business and people starting their business. So we have a tremendous amount of experience. David coming from his fixer background, I'm coming from my background, and we have found a unique way to mesh our innovative ideas. And one of the things that we can do is help you get into that innovative state that is still part of your spirituality, still a part of your self-mastery. Because business, unfortunately, for a lot of spiritual people, is toxic for them. And it's so toxic they can't even think about marketing or business plans or emails because they just want to be spiritual. If you just want to be spiritual, don't go into business.
I see no difference in engaging in business than it is engaging in the war of your own self.
Beautifully put. So you could be the cowardly lion or you could be the courageous lion in this situation that's in front of you. And for those of you who have issues with business and making money, you got to roar like the courageous lion at that and send those self-created demons back to the astral realms. Think of all those people who are waiting for you to step up and be courageous and to show them you've got something that is a product that has value to people.
I'm going to say something to you. Money solves a lot of shit. It does.
And it solves a lot of spiritual problems. It may not create happiness, but it will create flow. And welcome back, everyone. We have just advertised, and I'm outside. Hold me turn my video off behind the scenes. We are going to be having a webinar with David Ellis coming up soon, dealing with your business. So everyone stay tuned for that more information. But we are back now with our Friday night comedy show. Welcome back, Montesaurus Rex and Bruce on the Mountain.
Interesting enough, Monty is French to mountain. So I looked up what Monty means. It means man for the mountain, and Dean means teacher. So I'm teacher for the mountain.
There's the Hotel Del Rey. Yeah,
Robert's a bit interested.
It's the Facebook page. That's
I like
all
to
I can
stay
find on it.
Is her name Hotel? I like to stay in her. Hey.
Yeah, I can send you down there for 2 days with one of my nephews, keep you safe and relatively out of trouble within your boundaries if you want to fly over after COVID. No fee on my part. That's just me giving back.
No fixer fee.
Giving back. Just giving back.
Bruce, is this an escort service?
Oh, there's no such thing. Prostitution is legal here. Yeah, it's legal. Pimping is illegal. Yeah, they come down, they jump on you with both feet if you're living off the avails.
And that's the difference in cultures that we all get to experience in every place in space. You go to Amsterdam, they have the red light district there. It's like McDonald's drive-through there.
Yeah. They actually recently passed a law that everybody is allowed to have sex at least twice a year. So if you're on disability or welfare or something, they give out sex vouchers, I think, twice a year. So you can go get laid in Amsterdam. Amazing.
I can see the benefit of that. Yeah, release of tension.
What's the religious base of Australia? So America, I would say, is largely the Puritans founded it, right? And the Jesuits in Canada, obviously, those sneaky French bastards. But what is it in Australia?
It started out as a basic Christian. I'm not sure what sect because it was, the British basically came in and said, "This is ours," and slowly tried to wipe out the Aboriginal shamanistic tribes. I think 3% of the population are First Nations. So that's what I like making a joke of, like, yeah, the British people, the British suck because they couldn't do it properly. Same with New Zealand. The good thing about New Zealand is the Maoris stopped the British and they've gone, maybe we should talk to them. Because, if you've seen, Maori people are beautiful until you upset them. Then they'll beat the living shit out of you. But they're very hard to upset as well at the same time. So They're mostly bouncers here in Australia. But the thing is, because we had the gold rush, where there was a global gold rush around 1850, the 1850s, like the 49ers in San Francisco. Around about the same time, gold was discovered in Victoria and places around Australia. And so we've got a large Chinese community here for over nearly a century and a half. It's just in the last 20 years we've just got the bad type, which don't learn languages and everything else like that. So they were pushing for, I think in the 90s they were trying to go for that. We're a multicultural society, and then someone got a bit thingy about it and said, oh, multicultural doesn't work. And it's like, well, it does, but being Canadian, American and Australian, it's an idea, if that makes sense. Because you accept anybody, and you leave the bad parts of your culture and your existence and bring the good stuff, like just in food, Indian, Chinese, Greek, everyone, main staples of diet, where pizza, souvlaki, having a curry, like even in the UK, the curry and stuff like that. It's just funny when the far left progressives like, oh, you're all racist. It's like, I'm sorry, what? How? It's most of us, most humans are nice, and if government doesn't rile up or the society, we all get along quite well. And it's fascinating where instead of people try and divide us because we're different, but on the base level, most people enjoy the differences, because you learn, like, I mean, you've traveled the world where you've lived in different parts of the country, around the globe. How enjoying it is, like when you're in China, it's like, oh, this is what they do. And you like the good bits, you find out the bad bits, you ignore the bad bit. You're in Costa Rica, and it's like, oh, this is what they do. You've been in Canada, it's like, oh, this is what they do. I'm leaving. So it's religion's here, but there's the Australian apathy, which is not a bad thing. It's just really hot most of the time, so we can't be asked. But you're religious, whatever, don't care. Unlike, say, the American society, which seems to be heavily religious in the background, because there's a lot of people like, whatever, but they're still I think that's
actually a really big lie. America is run by the Karens and Kens of religions who speak the loudest, but in fact are the least followed. There are plenty of alternative religions that aren't Christian here that far outweigh the public Christian people that have their television shows, that have the this and have the that. Unfortunately, the Christians never want to admit that they're really the third to fourth rate religion in the world when it comes to followers.
Yes, the Simpson episode did it perfectly, where I think it was Krusty the Clown, but the line that I remember is Reverend Lovejoy was going, like, be it Christian, Jew, or other, and he points to Apu. He's like, hey, I'm Hindu. There's 200 million of us. Oh, that's just super. It's fascinating where white people are evil, and what's the percentage of Caucasians on the planet? It's like 7% or something like that. You've got India. If there's 7 billion and you have one person per billion, one's Indian, one's Chinese, and then you've got the mixture. And the Caucasians are really, really small. It's, create an enemy and blame them. It's like how apparently, like, Bruce, you're part of the conspiracy world, being on Revolution Radio. Aren't you tired of hearing about the Jews? It's like, really?
It's getting a little tired,
Yeah.
It's in the world of nefarious global commerce, they're fishmongers,
Exactly.
But I think the rabbis laid a little magic into it, so that if you take a step into it, you end up in a kind of madness, and you're in this hall of mirrors the whole time. And
I call them fake Jews. It's a small group of people that infiltrated them, and they call themselves Jewish, but they're not. And it reminds me of Donald Trump. We have fake news, fake Jews. And there's only 20 million people, and it depends on the point of view. How can 20 million people affect the world so much? But it's the dark entities have integrated, like they did the same thing with Freemasons everywhere. It's that they're just using the even David Icke's changed his tune in his latest book, where his book, because he's called anti-Semite, because he points out there are Jewish people. He didn't say the Jewish people. And now with his book, he wants the Jewish people to read it to find out how they're being used as a punching bag and a fall guy.
I think the alternative community needs to get over that. But the thing is, in the alternative community now, people have done one research cycle for 3 or 4 years, and they're trying to milk that economy for as long as possible. They can't grow. They can't dynamically look at what's going on and talk to people about the socio-political spiritual reality on stuck in that groove. It seems to be particularly virulent now at Revolution Radio.
It is at 5 levels of virulency. It comes and goes. One of the reasons I had to leave that station was exactly because of that. It just reached a point I'm like, I can't keep my audience there.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, in the last year, as we're going back to whatever's happening energetically with the planet in the solar system, and I think it is the placement of the galaxy in the solar system where it's moving. There's that energy sort of like, well, what's all this about? People are sticking to their narrative, and if you have a bit of information that is truth, they don't accept it into their belief engine because it changes everything. And it's like, no, it's all this, it's all the, it's a guy, everything's because of a guy called Dave. Yeah, but Dave has a brother called Harry. No, Harry doesn't exist. It's all Dave. You know what I mean? And it's not just conspiracy theories. It's a lot of people that are stuck in that 3D world. They don't want that little bit of just, one sentence of information that comes in to their reality that changes everything. They just refuse. They've got the blinders on, and because they've been stuck in the same thing for a decade, if they find new information, it changes everything, as I said. And there's probably a fear going on. Remember about 12 months ago, a lot of conspiracy theories were freaking out because COVID hit and the lockdown started. And half of them were gone, oh, wow, it's true. What I've been talking about for years is true. I'm like, oh, and they freaked out, which was, being a comedian was funny to watch. So that's why I'm still at the station, because I don't name and shame, but I make the comedic aspect of it, because it's like, really, critical thinking. Thank you, Rose. Hopefully that's what she's talking about, because the chat actually has its own conversation going on as well.
Can I ask Andrew a question?
Sure.
Yeah. So this is, now that we've sort of wandered into this Fiddler on the Roof topic, what is the karmic perspective? What is the Akashic perspective on the Bolshevik Revolution? What happened there? What was really going on? Because, as we know, the public story is never the true story.
All right, because this is a comedy show, I'm gonna use a.
All right, forget it. It's not funny. Hey, move on. Move on.
Okay.
What are you doing? You're sucking the vibe out of the room.
Okay. So I'm gonna give it this. It was the setup for the great philosophical backstab. That philosophy means nothing. Follow your philosophy, but you're still going to get a dagger up your ass and it's going to come out your mouth. There's nothing you can do to debate your way in or out of this.
Yeah.
Is to get the philosophers to come out of their cabins and out of their hermitsy areas where they're writing their flyers, and to get them all the chance to get killed. Okay, because ultimately we must understand what post-United States Civil War to World War II was about. It was getting the secret societies and the secret sects to kill themselves off, to be a part of the great patriotic race, so that they would all go and die, so there wasn't an educated secret society as a mass group of people to be in existence. Period. It was to kill off the educated people that were in the secret societies that were doing damage to the greater global narrative, which is what they wanted to do, was eliminate the apparatus that they had to pay for.
Yeah. So it's the same thing over in China. I've read a lot more about that because I became fascinated with the topic when I was living in Taiwan, Mao's revolution and Chiang Kai-shek coming over to Taiwan and everything. And then I read this incredible book by a Buddhist master in the early 90s called Bones of the Master, about this American Mahayana Buddhist master who returned to China to find his master's bones in a cave and bury them. And he had a co-writer, and they incidentally tell the whole story of the Cold War. If you had monk's robes on, you got killed. If you wore glasses, you got killed in Mao's revolution. Hey, he can read, kill him. You know, it's just amazing. And it falls directly in line with what you just said, Andrew, which is why I bring it up. They call that continuity in conversation.
Well, the thing is, when you can cut out 2 generations of educated people,
Monty.
what happens to the 3rd generation?
Well,
they don't know.
They're making mud pies with their feces.
Exactly. They easily fall to whatever truths you want to tell them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And in World War II, and World War II, they wiped out 3 generations of educated people.
Yeah.
And then the 4th and the 5th generation, guess what happened to them? They had to deal with the horrors of people coming home from war.
Yeah, all that trauma. And even before World War II, which from the West point of view, it started in 1939, but from the East point of view, started, I think Japan went into China in 1936.
32.
Even 32. Yeah. And that was at the end or around you had the Great Depression, which was the first body blow, having that trauma and everything else like that. And then you go into war, and that's why the 50s was so weird, where it's like, no, everything's right, but they suppressed a lot of the trauma, and so you had all that darkness coming out in the 50s, and then in the 60s they kind of broke through, and peace, love, and mung beans, and then by the end of it, it's like, oh, this is really dark as well, and then everyone got high in the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is the amount of people that died in World War I, World War II, and then the amount of people that died in the humanitarian crisis post-World War II is what populated the cities with massive amounts of communities of ghosts. Ghosts have been living in, like, London has ghosts going back tens of thousands of years. So does Paris, all those major European cities. But you just added millions of more dead people from all over the countries, which you had this mass population of ghosts, which then became the infrastructure of energetic harvesting. That was run by a technological system, not an esoteric system.
Yeah, and the ghosts are there because of the trauma of how they all died. That's
Correct.
Basically what's anchoring them. Instead of a natural transition, they were brutally murdered and en masse. And it's interesting looking at the history where the Germans were terrible because they firebombed Coventry. Yeah, because 2 days earlier the Allies firebombed Dresden. And there's all that twisting of
more people died in the firebombing of Tokyo than did both the nuclear bombs.
Not funny.
That makes sense.
Not funny. Not funny.
And they firebombed Tokyo like 4 times.
Yeah, and people make fun of them. Oh, they've got houses built out of balsa wood and rice paper, which the firebombing obviously would spread in a second. That's because they live in an earthquake zone. It's so much easier to build with balsa wood and rice paper. And when it falls over, you may get a paper cut.
Yeah, and most people don't realize, more people died in one firebombing in Tokyo than both the nuclear bombs that were dropped.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the fun part of, like, it's very hard. You can't question history because it's like you can't even ask a question about the Holocaust, even if it's like, when did it, what I mean? Like the whole Gino Carano thing, where she mentioned how the Holocaust started 10 years earlier, how the government was using mind manipulation, gaslighting for neighbors to attack neighbors. And she gets lumped as an anti-Semite because she mentions the Holocaust. And I know we've, Adrian probably answer them, but I know Bruce and I have genuine questions of, like, what are the actual numbers? What actually happened here? Why won't they tell that to the general public? You can't even get halfway through the first question and you get labeled anti-Semite and you're full of hate.
Yeah. Yeah, more or less. It's like you just don't want to talk about it in public, right? So
somebody in the chat room, Dave is saying, was that the Doolittle raids? No, the Doolittle raids did virtually nothing damage-wise. It was just there to say we can punch back at you. The firebombing of Tokyo was in mid-44, is when they finally had the B-29 super fortresses go into effect, and they were using 700-pound and 500-pound incendiary bombs with white phosphorus that blew up. That were airburst bombs that with white phosphorus that would airburst 200 yards above impact, so it would spread out a massive cloud of white phosphorus. And they did it in such a way that it would create these energy channels or wind venturies, so that the fire was self-feeding, known as a conflagration. And they mastered that by bombing the European cities, firebombing the European cities, because they didn't have enough explosive to put in the regular bombs when they ran out of it. And so they started making white phosphorus-based bombs.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that the society we have today, that half of it is based on how to kill people. Like, if you look at the history of air flight that we know of, with the Wright brothers, two bicycle mechanics, to it's 66 years till we actually allegedly land on the moon. Every advancement with flight is usually connected to military and how to kill people.
Yeah. Well, most of our invention comes out of the military.
Funding. That's what gets the funding.
Yeah, well, like videotape was invented because film was expensive. And I think, didn't they have videotape for military, like for the aircraft in Vietnam in the 60s?
No, they had videotape at the end of World War II.
There you go. And did they have fax machines in the 50s? Because
they had fax machines in World War II.
Yeah, okay. So now, I sort of be hesitant because, timelines and Mandela effect, but there's so much. There's a saying that if you see something in the movies, the military's had it for 5 years already.
50.
At
50,
least,
yeah. So
at least.
And is that just an element of control of keeping the general public in a certain state of flux, because they've made all these advancements and then it takes decades for it to leak out?
Can I go with that one?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so it begins with the technology, and the migration from the private to the public, or from the military to the public, is always a crafted story. So Bill Gates didn't do as much as we think he did. I don't think Zuckerberg can code HTML. I've heard he cannot code, right? So these guys are actors. They're pretending to be that figure. The system is working. Look, this guy started this company in his garage, and he's worth like $500 billion now, and so on. So it's not only the technology, but as the technology goes into society, they get to craft a control narrative there, or a support narrative for whatever system you have in place. And the support narrative for America was the great entrepreneur, right? Bill Gates and
which sets up the modern oligarchy of people in social media, such as Bill Gates, Elon Musk, etc.
Yeah. So it's a Colombian soap opera. Really, everything we see, all the politics is. And believe me, I know a little something about Colombian soap operas now. And go ahead.
What do we think of of Elon Musk? Because he comes across a bit odd.
I can't get a read on that guy. He's like Data from Star Trek.
Yeah, that's the odd that I'm going for, because AI is terrible at firing, and we have to be aware of it and to put it in check. And then 3 months later, we've got Neuralink, where we're going to put a chip into your head. Like bit of a jump, and all the Starlink and everything else like that. And I've joked with Andrew if he actually finally gets to Mars, I'm sure there's a couple of racers who are like, "What the hell are you doing here? Get off my lawn."
I'm gonna step in here on Elon Musk. I think he is a very practiced thespian when he needs to talk to the public, just like those British actors with perfect English accents. And then when you go to listen to talk him and you hear their British accent, I think he knows how to talk to common public with the accent that is perfect. And then when he's in a sciencey background, he lets all his shit flow. I think he has practiced what to say to public, and then privately, with all the super technology that he does know about, he talks about it all the time.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, I saw Alex Jones was on Ladder with Crowder, and he let slip apparently Joe Rogan and Elon Musk are going to do something. And I'm like, oh, that'll be interesting to see what that's about, but we'll have to wait and see.
Electric skateboard?
Probably. Well, he did relate. Elon Musk did like Spaceballs, and so he made for sale a flamethrower.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting too, like one of his cars is called Plaid. So I think he really likes that movie. Because I haven't been in a Tesla, but it gets to 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds or something ridiculous. Everyone that gets in a Tesla where they do that acceleration, they crap their pants because it's twice as fast as a high-speed car. I don't know what he's done in the car to make it that fast. But calling it Plaid, if you remember in Spaceballs, when Spaceball 1 goes to ludicrous speed, and instead of a light trail, they actually go to Plaid.
Yes, they go to Plaid. Oh my God, they've gone to Plaid.
We've overshot them by a week.
More of a Blazing Saddles man myself.
Oh, yes. I actually shared a meme that there's a 2021 edit of Blazing Saddles. It's going to be shown between 8 o'clock and 8:07.
I saw that actually on your Facebook thread.
Yeah, because that would make sense. It's the way that it's amazing that hasn't been cancelled. Like they're still trying to cancel. It's interesting when the younger generations discover Robert Downey Jr. was in a movie called Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Where he did blackface and but the whole joke is about doing blackface. It's making fun of the stupidity of it. And
what do you mean, we people?
Yeah, it's like, what? I'm just a dude playing another dude. Robert Downey Jr. actually went on Joe Rogan for an hour and a half to promote one of his movies. And they talked about that, where he had some of his black friends going, that is hilarious. But a couple of other black friends were like, really? But I think a lot of people, they understand the concept, and it wasn't to be disrespectful. It was making fun of the stupidity of it all.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. You know, I didn't really get into that movie till about the third time I saw it. I saw it in the theater, and I thought I had a few yucks and everything, but I didn't realize how good it was. Like all of those characters were perfectly done. Yeah. Tom Cruise's producer, Nick Nolte as the phony writer. You got your heads. And
Tom, I got respect for Tom Cruise for his acting abilities for that. I had to clarify that, not respect for Tom Cruise, but his acting abilities in it is like, oh wow.
I found out what Joe Rogan and Elon Musk are going to do.
Ooh.
So Joe Rogan wants high pressure gas thrusters to make the Roadster hover up to a meter, and he has agreed. Elon Musk said he has agreed to do that.
Yeah, flying cars, yeah.
No, hover
cars, yeah, okay.
Hover cars. And then he accidentally dropped that they had a hover car edition for a military contract.
Ooh,
right, full electric hover vehicle.
One thing that did make me laugh from what Mr. Musk said is Joe asked him, so have you thought of going into aircraft? And he said, yes, I'm not doing it. My brain will hurt because he's doing everything else. It's like, no, just couldn't. So it's interesting. Question for Andrew. How much is he a pioneer, or is all of what he's doing is being allowed to happen?
Well, as a CEO, he is definitely pioneering.
Yeah.
So I will say a good high percentage is definitely at the pioneer level. Most CEOs aren't involved into the actual production, technology, science the way he is.
Yes. Yeah. He's very hands-on.
So hands-on that he's not really running the company like a CEO. But the thing is, he's running the company just fine. He is the richest man in the world, and his stock is doing just fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he the richest man in the world now?
Yeah.
He's what, $190 billion or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a joke about Bill Gates where it's like, he wants to help people and he could end poverty, and he doesn't.
Exactly. He could end poverty. He could end world hunger.
Mm.
Okay. But he won't. You know why? Because he knows his money would just go to corruption. I know you're all going to go, but he's evil. He's a baby raping lizard. It doesn't fucking matter. The whole point was he could end hunger, but he would already know it would go to corruption.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically, and that's why I mentioned, yesterday, everything's a time thing. Just getting out into the zeitgeist of we have to deal with corruption, just dropping that pebble into the pond and let it rippling out, and not and show, as Andrew, you pointed out, the media is showing the corruption. Like, it is verifiable. There's facts, there's white papers. It's like, you don't have to go to Alex Jones to see stuff now. I mean, Alex probably talked about it 6 years ago when he found out, but now it's like NBC and everything else like that. Oh, this person did this and this, and then nothing happens. And I guess that's part of the Q psyop, is where we'll just make it so outrageous that anything that looks like a conspiracy theory, people will just jump, oh, you're a Q-tard, you're insane. The trick is now is not to make it about politics, not political. It's like, well, Biden did that and Trump did this. It's just label it as government instead of going with the political parties. Yeah. And that by just dropping, well, we need to work on the corruption. I remember Andrew actually saying, if the corruption dropped down by 10%, we'll probably have a pretty good world. The thing is, it's gone too far in one direction. There's no balance. Like, Bruce, you've told the story about how the corruption in Costa Rica is humming along quite nicely.
Yep. Yeah, it's easier to do business just paying the guy than to actually go through the official paperwork and all that sort of stuff. Same thing in Taiwan. It's right in your face in Chinese culture. Right in your face.
It's better to pay the bribery than the bureaucracy.
Yeah, less red tape.
Yeah.
Where does that term come from?
And it's yeah, that's an excellent question, man. Red tape.
I'll Google it.
Okay, I'm wondering if there's a red ribbon around folders or something, because it's like, we're all creative people. It's like,
what's red tape?
Yeah, what red tape? What are you talking about?
Okay, here it is. It's generally believed that the original term with the Spanish administration of King Charles V of Spain and Holy Roman Empire in the early 18th century, who started to use red tape in an effort to modernize the administration that was running his vast empire. And it shows a book with a piece of red tape over it.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Yeah, so it's forms of bureaucracy and Sorry to break the flow there. It's like, what the hell is red tape?
Yeah. Did you guys ever did the board game Trivial Pursuit ever make it big in the US?
Yes, it was giant.
Yeah, so that was like three guys from like around Toronto, just north of Toronto. One of them owns a hockey club in the Junior A League now north. But that would be a great Trivial Pursuit question. Where does the term red tape come from?
There's actually a Star Wars version of it. I'm sure there'll be a Harry Potter version of it as well.
Is there really? It's branched out that much now?
Well, yeah. I mean, the Star Wars is huge, where it's just not the 6 films, and this is before the Disney shit. There is hundreds of novels and thousands of comics, and the expanded universe expanded. And in the Lucas timeline, there's 35,000 years of history.
Jeez.
So yeah, they'll easily have a Trivial Pursuit game of Star Wars.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the personal flying device, right? The drones that you just kind of put on like a backpack, and you just go your 10 kilometers and you come back with your grocery bags 100 feet in the air.
They have them already. They're just not approved for civil aviation.
So yeah, like the Segway.
So yeah. So there are right now in what is it? The first air taxi has been approved. There's 2 cities now that have air taxis, which are just remote controlled drones. And they're Dubai and Arab Emirates.
Wow.
But that
is so cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just think about the bureaucracy and red tape for that. I mean, you know what people are like in cars. If you want them in the air, it's like
they don't actually fly. They're all remote controlled. They're all controlled by a central computer.
Well,
system.
that makes sense, because then they'll have flight paths and they'll be aware of radars and everything else like that.
There you go.
But if we have like the Jetsons where anyone can fly anywhere, there's just going to be total chaos.
So you could also, Robert, you can also look up hover bikes, or basically it's a motorcycle with propellers like that. Quite literally, there's scores of people that are producing these now.
Wow.
Right.
You know what the retail is?
Yeah. Ooh,
yeah, they're available for sale now. Yeah.
What do they go for?
Like 40 to 70 grand.
Wow.
There you go.
Oh,
that's not dangerous at all. That's just basically
there's ones that are better designed.
It's interesting that this one says Dubai police on the side.
Right, because it's a military application too. But there are ones that are better designed. That's the first generation one from 2014.
Yeah, because usually, like when you see them in the movies, like Marvel and stuff, they actually have a ring around the propeller, obviously for safety, which makes sense because looking at that's hardcore ride control. Just fly straight through that and chopping bits and arms and going everywhere.
When you see them like that, they're for getting the lightest amount of weight on it to get the flight control systems to work. That's why I said that's the first generation model. I've been following this stuff for a long time. Bruce, earlier today, you said I was an awesome problem solver. It's because I've been looking into this stuff, into the Akashic record, into the physical, what's out there. And what I can say is everything is already out there to fix this world. Everything is there. It's just the red tape would never allow it to be put into action.
Did you see the video of a Chinese inventor who actually can take a plastic bottle and revert it back to oil or fuel?
Yes.
Yeah, diesel. Yeah, it's a machine. You can buy that machine, and there's a couple of guys who do that in Costa Rica. You take your plastic bottles to them, and then they sell diesel. And
now, I'm thinking of a business opportunity. There's that massive plastic island in the Northern Pacific. Yeah. Just mine that. I mean, I want to rope it all together and put all the elites on it.
That'll do it already.
Yeah, but my theory is to take the elite idiots and put them on that island and film it, because it'll be Lord of the Flies in about 3 minutes. And it's like, I don't think there's any karma involved with that because they're attacking each other, but you do a Truman Show type thing. And can you imagine Dan Rather and Bill Clinton fighting over a banana?
No.
Oh, okay. Try.
Maybe it's because nobody fights over bananas over here, Monty.
Yeah, but if you're on a plastic island in the Northern Pacific and food's scarce, I haven't seen Lord of the Flies, but
I had the mountain version of Uber Eats come over today. His name's Tino, and he walks up the hill with a big arm of Plutano. So hang on a second.
I was going to say, is the donkey registered?
Robert, can you bring up some of those other air taxi videos, images, or the hover bikes?
It's going a bit Blade Runner, isn't it?
That's $6 to Plutano. At your local Whole Foods, that's about $50 worth of Plutano.
Anyways, there's a guy in Germany that has designed one. I'm gonna see if Robert can find it. So those are all okay. Yeah, keep going. All right, the one with right there, the one with the double round things in front and the back. That one right up. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, the one above the speeder bike.
Right. So that's a generation one. Go to the one above that, the white one above above that one. That's generation 2. Scroll down. All right, the one next with the red, the one next to the red one. There you go. Down. No. Down one, right one. Just to your right, one square. There you go. Okay, that's a generation 3.
Wow, that's nice.
Okay. So now they're showing you the safety factors and what it can do, and they're getting the weight to battery levels. That's a generation 3. Let me see. Go back to the other thing and see if we can find a generation.
Would that one also be just? Could you use it on the ground, or is it only flying? Because I know it's got wheels, but
it's got wheels just so you can move it around in your garage.
Yeah,
wheels don't actually do anything.
Yep, fair enough.
Now, do they have to be in proximity to the ground? Like, or can you go up 100 feet with these things?
So some of them you can go up high, and other ones are what are called ground interference. What's the ground? There's a special terminology for the ground energy that creates the hover. Not ground resistance. Anyways, there's a certain mathematical law that allows ground hover resistance.
So this is all basically air-based. It's not magnetic field.
No, those are all air-based. Correct. Those are all air-based.
But still, I mean, that's the one that's featured.
Ground interference. That's the term.
Yeah, that's rather huge, but it makes sense.
So the one with the propellers, those can go hundreds of feet into the air and still act like a motorcycle in the air. They just have to make sure you don't fall off. That's how you strap to it.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah. All right. Now type in air taxi.
So a knock-on effect of this is actually having something to protect your house if they fall out of the sky. You'll have either nets or something. Yeah, so these are generation 3s. Super long battery lives. Now X that oversized image out and go back to the main page there. All right. Down one, left one. Up one. Sorry.
Not sure from which starting point.
So where your mouse is right now, go to that image above it. So it's got an airplane with 2 long wings and 2 short wings. All right. This is an artist's interpretation of it, but there are other ones that are similar design to this, where they've got 6 propellers on each wing, and they have a hover time of like hundreds of hours on their batteries. And they're very small propellers. Like, this is an artist rendition. So if you go back out, we could actually see a real one. You can buy it for $37,000.
Wow. I'm just going to wait for them to show up on Craigslist.
They're not going to show. They're not. You have to direct order them.
I mean, the second-hand market.
They won't be. They won't have the second-hand market for quite some time. I assure you of that. Whoa. Anyway, so you got to find the ones with 2 long wings, 2 short wings. And they are instant vertical takeoff. They're the shortest frequency takeoff.
Yeah, because in Marvel, they've got the Queen jets where they can hover and I think they use the propellers to go up and down, but then they've got the jet to go forward.
Well, the wings pivot on this one. And that's what allows them to change attitude and forward motion.
Yeah, thrust. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see the government just salivating because they'll have to put in so much, like, who would want to be an aircraft controller now with everyone having one of those?
Well, those are the new air taxis. And they're perfect. They're super high maneuverability to deal with high winds in cities like Chicago, which are super windy. So you're not flying them, even though they sell them. You can fly them too, but they're the new things to replace air taxis.
Man, that's incredible. You could make a fortune picking people up at the San Juan International Airport in San Jose and driving them to wherever flying them to wherever their house is in Costa Rica.
Yeah, just to figure out who do you bribe to let that business go in.
I'll find him, Andrew. Don't worry, I'll find him.
All right.
He's probably at the Del Rey right now. I just have to ask around.
Exactly. We got a business. Let's go start a GoFundMe campaign.
Yeah. Fly Uber. Yeah, that's our new slogan. Fly Uber. Because Uber's just for short hops and because you go up and over.
Yeah. And the range on those things is like super, super long range too.
So what about the batteries? I'm hearing these bad things about like lithium mining now. Is that just new urban lore, or is there there is an energy to these things, right? There is an economy from the ground up with the precious minerals and all that stuff. One of the biggest lithium deposits there.
Well, the biggest lithium deposit in the world now is just north of Mexico City. And it's right now it's the Zapatilla gangs cartels that are stopping it from being mined right now.
Well, yeah, Elon Musk said that he gets most of his lithium from Australia at the moment.
Right. What's left of it? Because iPhones 1s and 2s that switched to lithium-ion batteries used up a lot of that resource.
Yeah. Cool, man.
So
cool.
There's
what do
a
I
huge,
know? I got a horse.
So there's a huge market on converting electric golf carts back to gas engines and keeping their batteries and having an electric gas vehicle that self-charges itself. Now, there's a huge community on golf cart conversions that are out there. And once again, bureaucratic red tape will never allow people to convert and do that to normal driving vehicles. But if there was ever a dystopian society, there's so much freaking golf carts out there that you can run. One golf cart can get like 45 to 55 miles per gallon because it's only like a 3-cylinder, very, very low 45 horsepower, but high fuel efficiency. And then it charges its own batteries.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, innovation isn't being allowed. Innovation is just not being allowed.
For economic, to maintain the control of the present economy, the present energy system, everything, or is there any other reasons?
Well, it keeps the car companies producing new cars and you buying new cars. If you could convert a golf cart in your garage in 2 weekends with minimal tools, who's going to buy the new Chevy?
Yeah,
and
it's the same thing.
It gets 70 miles to a gallon, and you can get 4 days on 4 days driving to and from work on a battery charge. And as long as you fill up the tank, you're always recharging your own batteries.
Well, just look at how many people have invented cars running on water, and they get silenced instantly.
Right. Or cars run on methyl hydrate, the most common fuel in the world. Methyl hydrate pellet cars concepts have been around since the 40s.
Yeah.
My thinking is, my thinking is, why can't if there's a way of using salt water, because there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to remove the salt. So
there's an interesting question. In the history of this planet, were the oceans always salt water, or were they fresh water at a certain point? And
they've always been high salinity. It's what keeps the high electrical field of our world going.
Oh wow! Okay, cool.
Okay, why did the sea level go up 300 feet?
Because they brought water back from when they took it away from this world.
Okay, because that feeds into the idea of the asteroid belt, Marduk, or a planet blew up and all the waters landed on the planet, and that's how you get the story of Noah. I'm being very vague, but it's that's a lot of water. So,
okay, they brought it back, all toxified and everything.
Why did they do that? Why bring it back?
It's like a fish tank starter water. It starts other worlds that are in or global disaster states, or new worlds that have low amounts of salinity on water, and it has all the microorganisms in it.
Okay. And so they just basically they were using it, and so the missions are ended, and so the inventory came back to planet Earth, which is a seed planet.
Which is converts it back to normal water. So they can do it again and again and again and again.
Yeah, try and bring that up in normal conversation. Go ahead,
you guys have put something in my head. I can't get it out now, man. Those bikes, those flying bikes. I mean, I have probably 100 square kilometers of banana and pineapple plantations here that have to be crop dusted, and they use helicopters and airplanes. And I'm telling you, there's an incredible idea right there. Not that crop dusting is such a great thing, but somebody's got to do it. But you get one of those flying things, and you just for $100,000.
If you got one, Bruce, you'll notice that your traveling time around the mountain on your area, you'll just hop. You'll just you just go up a bit and then jump in. It'll probably take you say a 20-minute walk could be done in 3 minutes. Even if driving's far, it'd still be quicker to do that up and over. Where I was reading, I think it was either Cracked or Mad Magazine. They were making jokes about Return of the Jedi. And they jokingly said, I know how to drive these speeder bikes where we don't have to worry about the trees. And they just went up and over.
Yeah, just up and over. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, to find pilots for these bikes, that's the challenge. Okay.
Well, how hard are they to fly? You can't like just learn it yourself?
You could, but how much injuries are there on the learning process?
Yeah, you'll have to get a license.
No. You can get you can get a ultralight. You can get an ultralight and not need a license to fly. Those bikes fall under the same rules. Okay.
Yeah.
So the thing is, there's going to be obviously a learning curve, and they're selling these bikes at a commercial level. But to get somebody that's going to learn how to ride it like a race, like you're thinking those guys that are doing the Formula One bike races, they're not going to switch well to hover bikes because there's no tire to trust. And that's the nature of bike. You trust the tire. Once you learn to trust the title, you become a motorcycle rider. You got to learn to trust the hover blade and understand your position and place on the thing. Now, as people learn to ride these things and all the things they can or shouldn't do, it's like learning to ride an ATV. You know, it'll be the kids that learn to do the triple tricks and stuff like that.
Yeah. Joyce in the chat room just brought up a good thing, a brilliant idea. Hover insurance. The insurance companies are going to have a field day because you just have insurance about falling off and the damage you cause by having something like that Robert's showing. But if you extend it out even further, house and contents and hover, because if someone falls on top of your house or your car, anything with property, it's just going to add to the insurance now. Because if you've got these idiots flying around and they make a mistake and land on your house, you need to be insured that you don't have an idiot from a hover bike destroy your house. That's one thing I like about watching Marvel and DC and where Superman cartoons and Batman cartoons. If I ever lived in that world, I would start a construction company and an insurance company because the amount of damage that superheroes do is immense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, Robert was again showing somebody that's making a Generation 1 in the modern world. Now, the Generation 4 hover bikes, they have sensors in them so you don't run into stuff, and they're highly computerized. And a lot of the flying process and the gyroscopic process is built inside the machine. So really you're learning what's called fly-by-wire, where you'll have a helmet on and it's showing you the position, and you don't actually need to control it. But if you do, you're following what the system is already telling you to do. Now, fly-by-wire has been in fighter pilots since the 1970s, and that technology is commonly available now for those systems.
Cool.
Yeah, it's the fun part of society where they keep saying our predecessors are all dumb, and look at this new fantastic technology that originally was created in 1935.
Yeah.
A good example is, I like to freak people out with Nikola Tesla, is that he created the first radio-controlled boat, like the toy boat, in 1895.
Right. And Bruce, there are already drone crop duster systems that are out there. Okay?
I'm going to look into that.
Drone crop dusting. Now look how high this guy's going. Okay? Yeah. How would your indigenous people deal with that?
Oh,
and he lived. He lived. There's no chopped off arm there.
Yeah, that was like a Russian floor routine in gymnastics at the Olympics that would get you suicided when you got back to Moscow. That was a bad landing.
Oh, can you imagine the technologies of airbags now? So yeah, if you're crashing, then they get deployed, and you're encompassed with either foam or an airbag or something like fun times.
So that's super cool. Personal flight is a big thing, right? The freedom you're going to have when personal flight comes in. So I have this idea that a lot of the technology that's going to come out in the next generation is all going to be about decentralization. People are going to want to live out in a nice natural place, but if they have to go 100 kilometers to go to work, they just get on their hover scooter and they're there in 20, 25 minutes, because the 100 kilometers is only by road, which goes in a big snaky direction, right? Like, just there's a town I can see from my house here across the Talamanca Mountains. It's called Turrialba. There's a volcano there. I see it lit up every night, and but to drive there is about an hour and a half, 90 minutes. But if I had one of those things just pop up here, I'd be over there in 20 minutes.
Yeah, but those bikes are flying at about 170 miles an hour, so you'd actually be there in about 6 minutes.
Holy cow! So you'd have to get really, really accustomed to that level of speed too, right?
Mm-hmm. And then understand crosswind. Okay, that's the other part. So the issues with the 4th generation bikes is how much sensors can they pack in without you needing a pilot's license.
So how do they keep you from blowing off if you're going that quick? Right?
They strap you on.
Gaffer tape.
Okay, just like a motorcycle, you learn to trust something.
I thought it was Velcro.
Okay, yeah,
a bit of Velcro, yeah. So, it's fascinating. Is that part of the global narrative where I sort of put it as the dam is almost about to collapse because one crack could just let everything collapse, the narrative, because of the technology that is coming out, like, hover bikes. It's like, wow, how is the global narrative going to control that because they want to, some parts want a centralization and total control. But then you have stuff like this where it's, well, even like collecting rainwater. Some places on the planet it's illegal to. Other places you need a license, and other places you just put a bucket outside when it rains. And so if you want that control, how are they going to control that freedom that technology is allowing us?
Yeah, prison breaks, hover bikes and prison breaks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You think the cartels couldn't afford a few of those?
Hey, Robert, can you go to Google and type in Beast electric 4x4 off-road vehicle?
Yeah, this is getting up my alley now.
This for you in the mountains and anybody out there, this is again another next generation brainy thought.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, who said it? Casey in chat, yeah. And the prison dome is born. It's like, yeah, let's invest in domes. So So
it's it's the top left one right there.
Ooh, well, that looks like a Razor scooter on steroids.
It is. If you could find a way to play the video that we wouldn't get a freaking copyright hit, that would be awesome.
Wow, that looks pretty cool.
All right, it is a full electric off-road, high-powered bike that has off-road. It has trailers that go with it, and it could very easily have some very high-level commercial values to it.
Wow, that's incredible, man.
And some of those photos too.
That, please, Robert.
Mm-hmm. People have already invented this stuff. It's out there already.
I gotta quit writing. This is ridiculous.
No, you got to write more books and buy more shit.
Got to get those militarized off-road golf carts.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. A 4x4 scooter, stand-up scooter.
That has a tow behind trailer.
What kind of weight are we talking here?
Quite a bit. There you go. The military uses it.
God.
Yeah, it's a Segway on crack.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm sure they'll add a gun to that.
Look at
it's going upstairs, everything.
Wow, that is incredible, man. That could be an excellent rescue tool for lost hikers in Costa Rica. I could make a living just at Manuel Antonio Park.
Yeah.
Look at the takeoff on that thing.
Yeah, it's all electric.
Holy cow, man.
And that's what I find fascinating is like that type of freedom and that technology where it allows people to do things, which, as Zero pointed out, it's like James Bond movies from 1965. How is the global narrative going to control that without having massive military lockdown? Because there's just technology, even like, I've jokingly said, all I need really is a bit of land, Nikola Tesla free energy device, and a replicator from Star Trek.
The right corruption to get through bureaucracy.
And I'll add that to the joke, and the right corruption, and I'll be sound as a pound, as Austin Powers would say. But I can see what. Yeah, I can see what you mean, Bruce, by people are over the centralized cities where like the Australian dream was get to buy the house on the quarter-acre block. And it's just having those front and back lawns is kind of enough nature to do its thing.
I personally feel I need a little bit more than that, but I mean, some people, if you could go from a condo to that, but once you get into nature, you just want more of it, right? That's what I have found. So, I think people should be living on like a hectare. Everybody should have a hectare of land, 100 meters by 100 meters.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the elites keep buying up stuff. Like the latest thing that information that came out is Bill Gates is buying up all the farmland. It's like, please stop. You keep looking like you're a Bond villain. Where everyone should get away from go to synthetic meat. It's like, you're a computer guy. You don't even know how to code. Shut up. But in 1 week there was 5 or 6 articles about Bill Gates of like, this is what he thinks about this, and this is what he thinks about this. This is Bill Gates' Spotify playlist. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is he all of a sudden the center of medical advice? He's not a doctor. I'm more of a doctor. And the difference between me and Bill Gates is I'm allowed back into Africa.
Yeah. We're living in a confederacy of dunces, man. Greta Thunberg and Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab. And it's just a confederacy of dunces, man. It's just you're just better off going it alone at this point if that's what's leading you.
Okay, so I have another thing that's going to crack your guys' brains. So right now, the train industry, railroads, is the most, when it comes to science being applied, not being applied to it, is the biggest backwards industry in the world.
Yes. If I may very quickly, can you talk about the bullet trains in Japan? Because some of that stuff is fascinating, where you've got shock absorbers obviously up and down, but because the train travels so fast to get speed wobbles, they've created shock absorbers so it doesn't wobble.
Side-to-side wobble, exactly.
Yeah. And the same thing is that it's the whole network is connected to the earthquake system. And so when an earthquake is detected, it stops the train.
Well, they've proven that trains should have taken over the entire technological industry and mass transit industry 50 years ago, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
But the railroads are the dumbest people in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, well, actually,
it isn't about them redoing track. That's garbage. That's absolute garbage. Okay? Their existing track could be modified for very cheap. Okay?
Yes. My family's big into transport, and they've worked for railways and tramways and buses and everything else like that. And the problem is red tape and corruption. It's the politicians in charge of these things. It's like, why did you build, maybe build a railway station with toilets? Just putting it out there. Humans go to the toilet. However, it's all about numbers. And I mean, what has gone wrong with architecture? I would like a human to design something, because it's always arty and it looks good, but it's totally no functionality at all. Instead of having, humans need to get from point A to point B. So let's put in a path that has point G, J, and everything else,
It's because most governments do it by the lowest bid. That have to choose the lowest bid. And therefore the lowest bid doesn't have a toilet.
Yeah, the station I used to live near, the actual toilets is in the nearby shopping center mall, and it was a 10-minute walk from the platform to the toilet, which is very handy.
Very 10-minute walk.
Yeah. But that's close enough. It's like, shut up.
Here's an example, Bruce. You live in the Talamanca Mountains, and you probably have a 6 to 8% grade. Your mountain road. You there, Bruce?
He may not be wearing his headphones.
Okay, so anyways, he probably has a grade. Now everyone's seen the snow air transport things that they do, where you're on a big air trolley, on a big long giant metal wire.
Oh yeah, the not cable cars, but yeah, the cable.
They're technically cable cars. That is
Yeah.
the simplest technology in the world, and every major city should have their own air trolley railroad system. All right.
Mhm.
It's the most simplest of wire technology in the world, and it should be on mass transit for all cities.
I think Toronto has one of the best public transport systems in the world because it's every 10 minutes. If you miss something, it's enough time. Like if you miss something, you just wait 10 minutes. And they do it. I think it's 24 hours as well. But the other cities just like, oh, no, whatever. And they're trying to make Melbourne into a 24-hour city, but the public transport shuts down between 1 and 4 a.m. And it starts shutting down 2 hours earlier.
Yeah. I think the thing you're thinking about in Toronto is they still have a big electric rail system, right?
Yeah.
So we have streetcars like Louisiana, and does San Francisco still have them?
They've got cable cars.
They've got them there, yes, but they're wired. They're wired from high.
Yeah.
So Bruce, what is the grade in your mountain? What's the general road grade? 6%, 8%?
Yeah, for most of it, there's parts of it you can get to where it's probably about 15.
And you're talking like what hundreds of millions of dollars to pave it, right?
Oh no, God, it's only 7 kilometers. We could probably, we could probably get it paved for I don't know what.
It would be the tens of millions. Anyways, what I was trying to say is those like when you go to snow places and they have the overhead rail cars that you get into and they're all on a wire, you can install that anywhere for 1/10 the cost of pavement.
Wow.
Well, yeah, you just need towers.
Yes, towers and wires. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
1/10 the cost.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, that's
1/10 the cost. This should be every city should have incorporated this by the mid-60s.
Yeah, and they don't have to be that small. You can have bigger ones, or you can have interlocking type things.
Yep.
And
they're called air trams.
Yeah. Like here in Melbourne, we've got a really big railway system. It's still 100 years old, and so it's not 100% correctly, but they're building a massive tunnel underneath the city called the Metro Tunnel. Melbourne is one of the, I think it's the only major city in the world that does not have a rail link to the international airport. That's how fun government is. We should do this. We should do, it's 2021 and we still don't have a rail link. The only public transport is buses to our international airport. Yay.
Yeah, but funny you should bring that up because Toronto just dealt with that a couple years ago. They finally got a direct train to Pearson Airport, but it took decades. And so it connects the train station, Union Station, which is like the center of Toronto down by Lake Ontario. And you go directly from there to Pearson Airport. And it's a little pricey. It's like $30, but if you're 2 or 3 people, you'd be better off to get an Uber or something. But yeah, we just finally got around to that. But that was one of the things City Council was kicking around for, like, it must have been a few decades, just a talking point. Hey, how about that train line to the airport?
Yeah, and it's always more expensive. Like, you've got your general system used for a ticket, would say it's $4 as an example. But the airport, it's 16. And it's like there's such a money-making enterprise, whereas I just want to travel to India or New York or London. But I mean, it's 10 years ago now, 50 years ago, however, you still have to pay departure tax because you're leaving the country. So you have to pay. Sorry, I started a business 12 months ago, and the first thing I found out was like, the government will take 37% of what you earn for taxes. It was like a third. What the fuck do I need to? Fuck this. I do. I'm lazy. So
Did you is that the corporate tax rate in Australia? 37%.
I'm not sure if it's corporate's probably slightly different, but as a sole business owner, if you earn over 35,000 or 37,000, it's roughly about 36%. I could be wrong, but that's from my memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 37% taxing if you earn over. Yeah, if you, it's I think 35,000 profit, then the tax kicks in. So it's basically, the government takes a third of your time and earning, and it leads towards the whole taxation is theft. And of course, people then say, well, taxes pay for things. It's like, yeah, but you still have a bank debt to central banks, which is fucking everyone.
Yeah. So Australia and Canada, I think, are the two highest tax countries in the world, and that aren't fully outright socialist to own your labor and then give you a loaf of bread when you're done. But I didn't know it was that outrageous in Australia. Canada too. I mean, by the time you add on all the ancillary taxes, like when they brought in the what do they call them when they just have a general sales tax? They just brought one in Costa Rica, 13%. Yeah, we call it the harmonized sales tax, the HST in Canada, or the GST, the goods and services tax. I've been a consultant for 18, 19 years in high tech, and it just never ceased to amaze me that just to hire me, they have to pay the government like 13%. Like I can't just go in there and represent myself. I got to come in and I got to be collecting this tax for the government because I'm providing a service, technical writing. I never quite got over that one. And
how much are we needing to pay you tonight?
This is another interesting.
Yeah, how much do we owe the Canadian government for tonight's show?
Yeah, they might be. I don't know. I'm actually tax exempt now because I've been living here long enough. It's not like the US is the only place that chases you all over the world to get income tax for money made outside of the US. Which is a kind of a funny twist, right? They've created a new kind of iron curtain, if you think about it long enough, just what the Soviets did. You can't get out of here. So there's a lot of stuff I've seen go on in the last few years where it seems like they're trying to get rid of all the escape routes for Americans. Like they want to keep them in the country. I mean, half of me thought when I kept hearing Trump talk about that wall, I'm not sure that's to keep people out, right? But and the reason this comes up is because there's a lot of Americans that just want to throw in the towel and do something like I did and move to Costa Rica. But they passed a law a few years ago where if you owe more than $50,000, it's unbelievable. Is there a wicked flag or something? Because everybody is just like, I don't know.
Well, you're very red and you're paused on the camera. There we go. So, but that makes sense. It's just really weird where there's a immigrant. It's funny where people hate immigrants because they're racist. It's like, well, no, they're against illegal immigrants because they're trespassers. It is so gratifying to see actual immigrants that made it to America, filled out forms and got their green card, and then Biden says, oh, we'll let everyone in. It's like, you fucking what? I just spent 4 years jumping through hoops and paying off everyone, and then Jose can walk across the fucking thing. Very sweary, and that's one thing that I spot is like, oh, he's racist because he's against immigrants. No, it's illegal immigrants. It's trespassing. Do you lock your house door? Oh, then clearly you're a racist. Think.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I want to.
So
Go ahead.
Okay. So I was just going to say that, as a traveler, one of the things I've noticed is that nobody is more open than, Canada and America and Australia for immigration and stuff like this. What what happens when you do it in reverse, when you become an immigrant yourself and you leave your home country like Canada, like I did, you can find other countries to live in, but there's all kinds of special taxes and they make money off of you. Like a big part of Costa Rica's revenue are all the American expats down here. And now with all of this IMF stuff and the financial kerfuffle that Costa Rica is in, they want to take a $1.75 billion loan from the IMF. Now, keep in mind, this is only a country of 4 million people. So it's a lot of money for 4 billion people. And we're starting to get the first draft of the tax regime that's coming in as a result of this IMF loan. This is a restructuring loan. They didn't properly pay back their first IMF loan for 2012. And the white papers are starting to come out and it's like tax the North American. And so for all of you bleeding heart liberals out there in America or Canada, Australia, who think you should let everyone in, give them free dental, free medical, a monthly living, maybe even a furnished apartment to live in until they get their, up on their feet. It's the exact opposite everywhere you go in the world. And you don't want people like that. You want people who are self-sufficient and autonomous emigrating to your country, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's who should be immigrating. Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, we have a world of refugees who are immigrating.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to touch on technology just for a second. Now, submarines have been around as a viable technology since before World War One. Okay. The majority of surface transports should have been converted to subsurface transports if there wasn't a war, so that you would have a far safer subsurface transport fleet. But there's a significant reason why. The amount of UFOs that are underwater is ridiculous. Okay. And right now you could use existing World War II technology submarines, which could be built with virtually any common technology now, which is they were welded. You don't need super technology to build them. And you could still go 300 meters, 600 meters under the water and still have mass underwater transportation systems that are far more effective and less polluting than the existing surface ships right now. Like since they've shut down the cruise industry, the oceans are coming back to life because the cruise industry is the biggest polluting of all the big ships. All those oil tankers, they're massive polluting systems.
Yeah. Yeah. One other big flaw in the whole global warming narrative is that they're clamping down on everybody's ability to drive a car in the cities where they live, but they're still sending all the poultry in the United States by ship to China to be cleaned and processed and sent back by ship to be sold in American grocery stores. Get your head around that.
Exactly.
It's mind-boggling.
Exactly. All right, guys.
For the economy.
We're at the end of the show. We've been going for almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. So, Monty, why don't you give a way for people to get a hold of you?
I'm on YouTube as Wafer Thin Entertainment, on Twitter, which is a wonderful battleground and good for comedy, at Real Monty Dean, on Instagram at Monty.Dean, and on Facebook as Monty Dean #5. And I pop up on Andrew's shows when he lets me on. And I can be seen, and I can be seen at a local shopping center if I need to buy food. And
Bruce, why don't you give yourself a plug?
Yeah, so I got a few books up on Amazon. Bruce MacDonald, MAC capital D, the Scottish spelling, and have yourself a read. I wrote one about Stardust Ranch. I wrote another one about kind of the world as it is through the eyes of another gentleman who had a very interesting life. I have a bit of fiction up there too that got really well reviewed in Canada. And I do a radio show at Revolution Radio every morning from 10 to 12 Eastern Standard Time on Studio 8 called MacDonald in the Morning. Sometimes I just talk, but a lot of the time what I do is I spend a week or two going through a book, talking about it, reading a little bit out of it. I choose really cool books too, like Gods of Eden by William Bramley or stuff like that, cult classics in the alternative world. And so it's a lot of fun. Other than that, I just live here. I'm a farmer. And I sell abaca. So if you need abaca, look it up, ABACA. I'm not going to try and describe it to you. You need abaca, you reach out.
I also do a radio show which I keep forgetting about. It's an open roundtable on Revolution Radio at 2 a.m. Wednesday mornings Eastern Standard Time of the United States, called Planet Collingwood. So if you feel like you're still awake at that time and want some humor and watch me try and herd cats, that's where to go.
And you guys know who I am. We will be back this coming Tuesday at 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Time with Martina Grubmuller as we go deep into the universal mechanics of life. All right, Robert, take us away.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge, it's the holy grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.